Welcome back, everybody. That was, of course, our first match here in EU in the night shift. We still have to get on to our money match, and it's me. I'm Jake. I'm coming in, pinch hitting here for ZP on the host role. But a great opening match of the day, wouldn't you say, guys?
Oh, dude. I mean, it was fun. I think we were talking about this in the break, right? It's a bit of a playmakers meta right now. A lot of bebop getting involved. A lot of those like initiation heroes, a lot of high skill expression, and we're in a region for it right now. So I'm stoked. It was a quicker game than I expected. I won't lie. Loto's still in the doldrums and struggling to make that money match, but Abraham's, they look pretty determined this week, I feel.
Yeah, determined to take down Buff Enjoyers, because honestly, it's been, what, 3 weeks since they've been able to beat them?
October 1st, I want to say. So yeah, it's been a couple. Yeah, 3 weeks.
It's been a bit. And I mean, honestly, it's got to be tired being on the losing end of this matchup every single time.
Yeah, it's not ancient history yet of these two teams being able to trade wins, but Buff Enjoyers has had the better for the last 4 in a row, man. So it's starting to feel kind of calcified, and coming in to that Trolli tournament coming up just this weekend, right? Like, you really want to feel as Abrahams that you can get this win. And I think that's what makes this week's night shift so particularly important for these teams.
Yeah. I think someone was sort of saying in chat that they had read or heard in a stream that like a couple of these Abraham's players were really pissed off and wanted to find a dub this week. This would obviously be the third week. They had to win a map here. That's what at least I want to see. They actually haven't taken a map in 3 weeks, was what we were talking about. It's been even longer than that since they got the win. So want to see them give us at least a 2-1 here. They look so good. It's so funny. Like when you see the sort of tier breaks between some of these teams, guys, where like Abraham's look incredible in that first game, and then we see them struggle against someone like Buff Enjoyers. It can really make this very solid team look a little clowny sometimes. So I want to see some really, really close Deadlock here.
Yeah, and I think we're going to get just that. Of course, we do want to thank our sponsor this weekend, which is, of course, Intel, making this possible, having the prize pool. But nonetheless, as an entire group, as a tournament, I mean, as really an ecosystem here in Deadlock, we couldn't be doing any of this stuff without the fans, the supporters, and especially our Patreon. So the Patreon is a great way for folks to give back and directly support the broadcast. And that's been an essential part to us, like building up this consistency, being able to bring more and more brands in. I'm really excited. I think we have a lot of good things on the horizon as far as more connections, more opportunities to watch competitive Deadlock, as we're of course having this great 2-weekend tournament series sponsored by Trolli. But becoming a Patreon is a great way to sustain that here. Remember, this is still early days in Deadlock, and we really need that community effort.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and like something as simple as like over this weekend, like we had the Trolli tournament, we're able to bring a social media manager in to like, get up on on Twitter and stuff like that. Like just little things like that. You guys at home are helping us like level up our production, bring more night shift action, bring more Deadlock action to everybody else, obviously alongside our fantastic sponsors. So the Night Shift Resident tier, right, gets you access to that Discord where we basically just hang out in general, but also access to the Graveyard Shift, our post-show show. We, bring a guest on each week. It's one of the players quite often. We get a chance to look behind the curtain at what's going on in Deadlock at this early stage. So really insightful. I also use episodes like that for prep, just to sort of know what's happening in the ecosystem and on a little bit of a deeper level. So if you're really into Deadlock and you really want to take your game to the next level, I think that's a great place to start. It's $5 a month. Price of a cup of coffee. You can support us, keep the lights on, and get some great content as well.
For just the price of one coffee, you too can support, cue the, who sings that song for all the, like adoption agencies for dogs? I can't remember the name. In the heart
this is a deep cut, man.
Of an angel. And it's just us with sad faces, for $5 a month. The cost of one cup of coffee, you too can support us. No, but the thing is, we do this because we love it. We love doing the show. We love helping the community out. We love being here for the community. We love having you guys around to help support us as we support you and looking into the future of Deadlock and how it grows. And not to mention, we're looking for more ways of how we want to give back when it comes to the Patreon. We had a game night back last month. We're looking for new ideas. If you ever have them, feel free to shoot them our way and we'll see if we can make it happen.
Yeah, definitely. Chat, Discord, a lot of great places for that feedback. By the way, we do have just a regular public Discord. Always a great opportunity for people to join. Every time we mention the Discord, we get spammed with the suspicious join activity request. So I feel like it's a good idea to hit that more often. Clearly, there's more folks who don't know about the Discord who maybe want to get in, even outside of the Patreon tier, just to stay informed about what's going on here at Night Shift. But that's enough for the promos, guys. We're on to the match. It's about to get started, but we got to check out the rosters. Let's see who the opponent is going to be in this money match.
Well, I mean, we know Abrahams. We just saw them earlier on. Pretty filthy performance, overall. And if you remember, it was a composition that featured the Monkrul, the Bebop, Calico was in there and the Doorman. Those are the standouts to me, but it was actually ABL with all the farm prio doing a disgusting amount of damage, 25k damage in 23 minutes on that pocket. So I really liked the draft we got from Abrahams. I think maybe Lotus took a couple risks, let a couple things through. The Viper was, experimental. They also had the, Paradox and Hold. They doubled down. So, don't know if we're going to see a Lash hit picked off, but there was a Lash ban from Lotus, right? So clearly they're onto something. They know something. The Abrahams might have been working that on them a little bit in scrim. So want to see this team give us a really strong game off the back of a first, game win, which was so dominant. Like a 30k soul lead after like 14 minutes is pretty insane.
I think for this team in particular too, I think one thing that they need to be able to have in their back pocket is playing a Shiv well without a Kelvin. Because I think we can almost assume Kelvin's going to be gone almost every single time. And you look over at North America this last weekend, and we saw multiple Shivs being played constantly without that Kelvin support. It's a very good success. We know Together is a fantastic Shiv, but they need to be able to play around that well for him to have that snowball potential that we've seen. And also, man, give my boy Tass Paradox, because like Paradox has had some ridiculous play in this last weekend.
Yeah, it feels like a great meta for Tass with Paradox and Bebop being just mainstays in the meta. However, they have a very sufficient competition to give them a competitive game. The team that has beaten them 4 times now, back-to-back in night shift events, it's the Buff Enjoyers.
These guys are just not giving up maps right now. Like, they are insane. I love Obakim's approach to the game. We'll pick some really interesting heroes to play as like a support, right? Won't get the Kelvin quite often, very reasonable, but we see like the Haze picked up with a lot of those aura items, slowing hexes, all the rest. Really understands that itemization is king in this game, and if you have any sort of hero that has like stealth or just the ability to get into the fight, you can look really, really good. Zergy, obviously the trackball goat, he's going to be dangerous. This team is just I think the best in the world right now, and I don't know how much argument there can be. We don't have a lot of crossplay NA in the EU, but these guys for me are the gold standard, Jason. They're an insane roster.
I'm sorry I have to do this to you two gentlemen who were not here over the weekend, but Viper Pregnancy Enjoyer, she was played in the first match. That's a callback for Puckett. If he goes back and watches this, he'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Yep. It happened.
I'm gonna leave that unexplained for myself in the chat. Just all right, okay.
Cool.
But yeah, Buff Enjoyers, man. Like Jason. Everything Mitch said, 100% true. This team not only has the grip on the meta and the grip on being one of the best teams, if not the best teams in the world, they also have the longevity beyond them as well. I mean, they've been a solid roster for such a long time. We had Michaelis leave and Hoot come in. We had Piggy dropped and Obikim come in. But 2 roster changes in basically an entire year is insane to think about. And not to mention, if we ever do see, M1 heroes come back to be a main staple of teams when we get to these longer games, you got your boy Zergy there to back you up. So it doesn't matter if they have to play an early game or a late game comp. This team is all around very good.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, Jason, that name is egregious. The Viper Pregnancy Enjoyer. Don't want to know where that came from. How did you get a space in your Twitch name?
I'm okay. So I'm not even kidding, just to play hard to get. But when this happened, I was told to not tell anyone how or why. So I have to stick true to that. Right. I don't want to be departnered or something on Twitch, but I think there's like 5 people on.
Surely they're not at the company anymore, right? The person that
they are not in the company anymore. I can confirm.
That's legacy. Okay. That's legacy. Damn, legacy connections there. A subtle flex from the OG here, Jason Kaplan. I gotta say, snakes don't get pregnant. Don't they lay eggs, man? Am I crazy about that one? Viper Pregnancy Enjoyer, you're gonna have to stay hustling out there, stay grinding.
Do we consider that having an egg to lay is pregnancy?
No.
Look at chickens.
Okay, all right. Okay, would you like the
you
eggs
guys weren't supposed to dive that hard into this. I'm just telling you right now. This is a quick one-off, but you guys went into it. But you know what? You bring some very good points.
Crazy.
We've had our formal discussion of snake reproduction, and now onto the draft. What I know the people are sad to see, of course, the end of that conversation. But we have to do the draft. The sponsors, they make us get a move on.
Okay, let's jump in. Obviously, the usual suspects had to be targeted here. Kelvin, obviously, is not something you want to give to Obikim ever. So, should see that find its way into the ban phase here. Victor, of course, is. This is so shocking that you see a Victor first ban here, because usually I think I see him in the first round, right? Him and Kelvin.
Yeah. Well, it's more interesting that they went with Victor first because they want to get Kelvin. So they're forcing Buff Enjoyers to take away Kelvin where they didn't necessarily need a ban of Victor. So they're trying to get the opportunity to pick up a Kelvin, I think, as a first pick. But I don't think Buff Enjoyers are going to let them have it. Yeah,
no way. No way, bro. Okay, so first pick obviously for Abraham's here. It's the little leg up we give to our challenging team heading into the money match. They have an opportunity to try and find an edge over the current king of the hill. Yeah, Infernus first.
Is Infernus that top tier for the number one spot?
I would say so right now with what we've seen of late. Like Pocket obviously can be very good between these two teams, but Infernus for who?
Honored to serve at your pleasure.
Okay, so you know what the Scrimbucks that ZP talked about.
Doorman Prio, crazy, bro.
All right,
Holy.
the Doorman carry potential is pretty sick. I think really the reason you picked this hero though is the lane dominance, especially in the mid lane. This hero is just a monster in the harassment position, and there's other characters you can pair with him that are gonna give him a nice lane combo. And then you also haven't really committed any which way with your draft, right? You could have Doorman be the gun carry. He could also build like a spirit catch, sort of a supporting low eco style as well. So you have a lot of options open for Abraham's. And the holiday first pick for
very early.
Pretty wild, right? Like not Paradox.
Jason knows something,
I like
bro.
that it's no, I don't know something. I like how they don't prio her over Paradox because I think Demov is way better on Holiday. Oh my god.
Okay.
So they're forcing the Bebop in a top 3 pick here is my guess. What I was trying to say though is I think Demov's a much better Holiday than he is a Paradox player, to be perfectly honest. But by doing this, it's like you either take Bebop in your top 3 or we're banning him and you're not going to have an initiator.
You have to take Bebop.
Hear me out, guys. Bebop Mo.
Yeah, Bebop Mo. I think you have to, right? Okay.
Okay. They're gonna go the opposite route, which is picking heroes who don't mind getting caught and initiated on, right? And that Calico is certainly one of them who can take this frontline gig. And honestly, double initiator versus Calico. I mean, Calico's naturally gonna scout them out, kind of see them coming, sniff them out, and then that creates opportunities for your team to punish Paradox and Holiday when they're thinking they're gonna get in on the action. But I do think a Mo or a Bebop are great callouts here. And okay, they're just gonna further quadruple down on just we're gonna catch you, we're gonna see you first, we're not gonna allow you to start the fight. It's a little scary. I mean, now the bans can come, right? You could get rid of Mo or you could even, I mean, I wouldn't mind Buffingers taking it for themselves.
You just take Mo.
Take Bebop take Bebop or Mo and ban the other.
I don't think you want Bebop. What the heck is going on? Okay, bro, we're
cut the feed. No, cut the feed. Buff enjoyers, they default lose right now. There's no way they're being given this. They are not showing anything before the event this weekend.
That's crazy.
Oh my god, guys, I can't cast a full 3. I'm gonna have to leave, please. No. Okay.
First 3 pages. I don't know. Is that the first time we've seen that? Genuinely?
When I last saw it last week, I think it was 6th pick. Yeah.
That's what I mean. I feel like I don't mind Paige squeaking in as a last pick and like, okay, looking pretty all right in the draft and, you know, giving you some strong laning early potential, but the playmaking is certainly active here for Buff. A lot of mobility.
Has Lightbringer been to Machu Picchu on an ayahuasca trip and come back with some like forbidden apocryphal knowledge? Bro saw something in those cave paintings, man.
Just meditating with the monks or something like that.
Dude, what is okay?
There's no way. Like I can't justify this to myself, Jake. I don't know about you to have Paige Paradox Holiday as a top 3 for a team.
Especially if you consider the quality of heroes that Abrahams have picked up, right? Like these are 3 heroes that great like early game laners. Pocket has crazy snowball and carry potential. The Billy comes in for Buffalo. So I mean, they have a monstrous ability to lock down characters and deny them from escaping. So this could get a little scary, but I mean, once you get like E-shift on Pocket, all these catch kills, I mean, like good luck, you know, like you're going to need it.
Can you satchel out of Chain Gang? Like Return of Shadows out of it?
Return of Shadows, yeah, I believe, because you're untargetable.
I don't know if you can press those kills. Like, I don't think because you can't use your ulti on Calico when you're slowing Hex. So I'd assume you can't do it if your Billy ulted. But the problem is,
maybe that's true.
You're not going to like it's pretty easy to just like jump in and press your ult, and then like Billy's like, what am I gonna tank?
You can't
2,000
use
damage
movement abilities when you're in the effective show. What, dude? I mean, I haven't covered EU in a while,
here.
But it gives them
Sinclair
it does give them access to that extra hard engaged tool, and he's a bit of a
mid-boss
bully
contest. Yeah, and then I think stealing the Page ult is like one of the most broken ults you can steal because it's legitimately an insane ult. It just has a ridiculously long cooldown. And so when you steal that away, I think you can really turn some of these fights around. But I feel like Abraham's getting everything they want, and I do not envy the laning of Buff Enjoyers coming into this. I mean, Sinclair Doorman in the mid, like, goodness gracious, that sounds just devious with the amount of poke.
Is it Sinclair Doorman or is it Bebop Doorman?
That's a good point. I mean, honestly, I don't think you can do no wrong in this. All these lanes. I mean,
Sinclair has, of course. Of course, Vindicta, because you know, when you lasso or paradoxical swap someone in, then you captivating read them, then you chain gang them, you of course need another lockdown in the form of a tether. I mean, come on, we should have seen this coming a mile away, guys.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I did. The Sinclair lane with the Vexing Bolt is kind of insanely powerful. Vindicta, as you can see, not lost yet. So curious to see how that plays out. Wraith comes in, obviously, it's very reasonable. A Merc Magnum carrier with the gun carry potential, lockdown, of course, through that telekinesis, all very reasonable. I love the draft from Abrahams. I want to know what Buff and Joys are cooking. Page is so immobile. I feel like if Sinclair gets to copy the rallying charge, then he's just like a better hero in every way, basically. Page obviously can empower a lane teammate, right? Because, you know, that barrier is pretty good. If you get those, you know, if you get good points into it early on, you know, you can add fire rate, which might matter in the case of some of these with that second rank of the defended fight. But yeah, man, this is very, very interesting.
Let me ask you two a question, actually, because this is something I kind of pondered when it came to a previous show we've done. Global ultimates. So in League of Legends, you have like Lux. I don't know if you know who she is, but you can shoot this beam across the entire map and it can kill people.
Not the tile map. It's quasi-global, but sure.
But okay. God, get out of here.
Sure.
You get the point, right? How do you guys feel about like global ultimates in Deadlock? Because we only have a very few of them. Like Page has one, Mirage has one, and I believe that's it.
It's really hard to use because you have an extra axis of play, right? You have a Z axis in Deadlock. And so that's another, you know, it's another direction you've got to sort of aim that stuff in. It's also a very, very big map relative to you. It's much harder to hit them. And I don't think anyone is ever trying to use rallying charge across the map, right? It's just too many things. If it's sped up, or I think someone said if it got marginally larger as it traveled across the map, then maybe, like, not too big, right? But, you know, to a limit, then maybe it will be more reasonable. But I feel like most of the time it's like within line of sight, you're just sending this.
Yeah, I think Mirage is the only ult that's truly global, but realistically, even like the Ivy ult is like arguably global-ish. You can cross the entire map with the Ivy ult. It obviously takes a long time, so, you know, I think it's fine. I think it's like part of, I mean, it's obviously an insanely strong tool, but it's also why Mirage, less dynamic, a little bit less powerful in like the raw damage kit, you know, like you have some sacrifices in the balance. And I do think that's definitely a big feature in Dota. There's a lot of global ultimates in Dota, and it does always spice it up. But speaking of spicing it up, guys, we've got to get into the game. It's Buff and Jors with an absolutely crazy high tempo wonky draft taking on Abrahams, who want this win. They want to make a statement. Take it away.
I feel like I'm observing just contagion in a petri dish here from Buff and Joys. I have no idea what to expect, I have no preconceived notions, I guess, is what I'm saying coming to this. So clean slate, open mind, return to Monkey. Let's see what Buff and Joys have for us now. It's going to be the Holiday Paradox grouped up in this mid lane, something I think that was touched on earlier. But of course, it'll be the Doorman and the Bebop, and already a Cool Bell finds some connection on the Zergy.
Yeah, that's what I was saying with the Lotus matchup, right? They had Holiday and they had Paradox, and I wanted to see them paired together in middle to deal with the pressure that could be coming their way. But if we're brutally honest about this, I don't think there's any world that Buff and Joys are showing us this comp and saying, yeah, we have a new meta that we're developing. I'm not that they haven't necessarily practiced this, but there's no way they're showing something like this right now as something that's going to be, I want to say, super serious and something they perfectly intend to play in a big grand final worth $5,000. But you know what? If they can win with this composition, I don't think Abrahams comes back in map 2. I think they're too tilted. There's no way you come back from losing to a Paradox, a Holiday, and a Page first 3 picks.
I want to say you have a very tanky front line for Buff and Joys, right? He's very, like, getting through the Billy and the Lash. And the Shiv. That's asking quite a lot, I want to say. You can see Battle Vest queued up here for Task first on, so would like to be as oppressive as possible in this mid lane. You can see that, you know, Hoot and Zerg, you've already been dealing with some of this damage coming through. There's another hook here on the Hoot. Obviously no skilling into the uppercut yet, but a very large amount of damage on the Holiday to follow that up. That's extremely solid. Listic and Saint here dueling it out. Captivating Reed. Did it catch on? No, doesn't look like it. Not quite there for Sharik, but the idea was there.
Man, I just feel bad for all the people in the chat who bet their house before they saw all the picks come through. I guarantee they're like, okay, I got to cash out. Hold on, let me change my pick because this is an interesting one. But yeah, I mean, again, like Captivating Reed, the lockdown from that is fairly strong. You pair that with the ability to give the Guardian Ward over to him if you build it as a first item, plus you give him the shield as well. there's really easy setups with like the rushing ram into the captivating read, and you can do a lot of damage because of that. I was thinking maybe you pair it with Stake as well, or instead of the Billy, but they went with the Billy and the Page combo to give Billy that support. Instead, we're seeing the Vindicta and the Shiv together in the left lane, which I want to say is probably the weakest lane that Buff and Joys are going to have.
Yeah. And despite that, Jason, they've had a good bit of shove and even found some early Guardian damage. So things look okay for them on that side of the map for the time being. Zaf here has to go for a healing ride, taking a pretty healthy amount of damage here just to, incidentally as this lane proceeds. Obviously, it is going to be Wraith and Pocket that is challenging this Shiv lane.
Did you notice? I just noticed this. I didn't look at the top. Look who's on Paradox.
Wait,
I didn't realize that was Zergy on Paradox. I just looked up and I'm like, okay.
Wait, is this like a Alkfire support Vindicta vibe from Obicum?
So we got to see Vindicta this last weekend with Aiden the Destroyer, and he went with the Assassinate build because of the nerfs Vindicta's had, and he actually got target banned because of that, because he pulled off some amazing plays. So I don't know actually what route it's going to go, if it's going to be like an Alkfire carry as a support, since Tether has been nerfed quite heavily, so is the Crows. But I also wouldn't mind seeing the Assassinate max just for the extra damage that they might need in these fights.
Yeah, especially with the nerfs to those Crows. I mean, you see here, Together has the mobility to avoid the Billy at all costs, because Listic, if he has blasted up and if he has a shield up, like, you're just not beating him. You cannot out damage him in that kind of melee situation. Shriek doesn't have escape. That is the problem. So big vexing bolt damage catching onto the Page here, and now this poke coming in from Saint. Yeah, definitely nothing to sneer at. This was always going to be one of the biggest issues in this lane. Now the wraparound coming from Together, but Listy might have caught this out. Gloom Bombs, though, all catching out on towards the Billy, and then the Hex, man. I don't know how the heck Listic got out of there. Turned into a bunny and forced to run for the hills. We're already seeing just the laning pain for this Buff and Joyous comp.
Yeah, to be fair, Hex, a very good counter to Listic. Without the rushing ram up, you're almost going to get a guaranteed hit, and that's a lot of extra damage. And more importantly, you're denying a lot of healing that he can do with his melees because of the blasted proc. Not a bad pickup here. I'm kind of digging this Sinclair, since we haven't seen him in a very long time.
I mean, Buff and Joyous have the last hit with the Page in this lane right now as the wave cam crashing in.
Yeah,
it's
good luck.
Like, it's so bad. Having Listic forced out of the lane will probably mean a pretty significant loss in farm. At this level, though, I reckon they can still overcome that, but it is quite challenging. Turn of Shadows used here, apparently. Nice little catch on Listic. He was stunned up, and boy, howdy, this is brutal stuff. The Sinclair Calico lane is terrifying. Guardian down, and Shriek forced to run for the hills. Though in mid, a little bit more life here being showed by Buff and Joys. Big shove on towards this Guardian now. Over the top goes the Holiday. Bebop now has that ultimate online, and Tassis wanting to chase. Hyper Beam at the ready also for this Bebop. Drifting across to this lane is Saint. So now Sinclair's going to be present.
Oh, he's just going to go back, though, with the Spectral Assistant. I was hoping for a potential gank in there as the Affliction does go on. It does catch on to Demov. And again, Shiv, the only hero who can just flat out die from that. But you see Obicum with 2 points and Assassinate already as well. Yeah. But he hasn't banked any more points, so we don't know if he's going to continue to go that route and go for that damage. Get extra charge being picked up too. So I want to assume this is actually going to be an Assassinate build for him. And the funny thing is, we never really get to see how good of a player Obicum is. We always talk about mechanically, like his movement and stuff like that, thinking back to a ridiculous Holiday play he had a long time ago. But he is an insanely accurate player too, so I feel like this Vin build, if he goes for it, could be pretty deadly.
Stun there affecting Saf as that door went up. It's unclear what that was. It was a Guardian take, though, here on this mid part of the map. Bit of a fight to be had here. Shriek needs to back away. Too much damage, surely. ABL falling. Hook connecting. Defend and fight active on Shriek, but that shield is not going to be enough. Captivating Reed does lock Tass down for a time, but the bomb was appended. Together's able to get there. 4 players. So Abraham's here in the middle part of the map. Return to Shadows now being used as the rest, and Buff and Joys commit. Chain Gang active. Line of sight broken up at least by the Calico, but Saint not nearly lucky enough to escape. And this Billy is looking scary. Listic, dangerous in this middle part of the map. Now it looks like Buff and Joys are happy enough to peel off. And a switch for Shriek heading over towards this left-hand side of the map. So something brewing here, maybe to try and put the Page in a safer lane for now.
I think he's going for the Sinners at the moment. Is he going to try to facilitate a gank here? Again, you need to hit a tether. Hitting a Captivating Reed by itself when the enemy team has stamina is really hard. But it looks like they're actually going to group up for a push. Try to take this Guardian down, get an objective lead. And there's really no one to defend against this. So a quick parry comes through, and they're going to take this one for free. No contest coming out of Abraham's. In the meantime, Listic getting all this free farm on the right-hand side as well. And funny enough, all tied up at 30k souls apiece.
Yeah, okay. Considering how tricky these lanes are to play, Buff and Joes are making this composition work. There's the slam comes in. Second one, not so good. Saint tries to get the Hex. He's got to run. Rising Ram comes in, but together is present. Listic doesn't really want to roll the dice in a 1 versus 2, but more than happy to keep them off the Walker. That's Saf going down. Doorman out of the game. Pressure on this left lane. Unlikely to result in a Walker take because there's no wave prio here for Buff Enjoyers, but they are definitely wrestling sabers at Abrahams. And what's the plan here for Saint? Going to be able to get out with that Spectral Assistant for now, but needs to hang around because he knows there's pressure. There's a legitimate interest in taking Walker in the middle part of the map, and there's a paradoxical swap. Hex on 2, though, is good, but Saint is still stunned up. The Captivated Reed held him in place.
I'm not sure what he was going for there because he stole. That was the audience participation paradoxical swap that came through to switch positions with Zergy, but it's not like he really had any assistance. There was no one near him on the map to actually help out. And just as I talk about it now, he's going to continue to stick around here. He still has Tass up to the side with the Bebop. Also has Together on the Calico in the near vicinity if a fight does break out. But he's just trying to farm up as much as possible. The Captivating Reed catches out onto 2.
Just interfering with this Sinner sacrifice take by the looks of things. That's still on the table, and Buff Enjoyers know they want to fight for it. Billy up front and center. They're going to take the Sinners behind this. How annoying for Abrahams. Buff Enjoy still emanating a very respectable amount of threat, and they're still fighting deep in this part of the map here. Okay, well, Listic might have gotten more than he bargained for here. Chain are going to be used, but he is hexed. Now the Hyper Beam coming on in. It's cutting him low, but he's still willing to fight inside that blasted mode. Eventually, he falls. Very much outnumbered in that locale. Hood also falling, and Taz is going to be exchanged, but Sharik cannot hang around. So a 2-for-1 trade as Buff Enjoyers audaciously step into Abraham's territory for the Sinners.
I think that's the mini adaptations I've been talking about in that last game with Lodos up against Abrahams, of teams really investing more heavily in these opposing Sinners, especially taking the pudding building, the one with the double Sinners, because it's so nice and delicious. I completely ruined what the guy told me about that. But yeah, taking those away, because again, it's a double win for you. Denied it from them, you get the buff for yourself, and those do stack up quite heavily the longer the game goes on, especially if you give it to your like tankier frontliners like Listic, for instance, in this case, or maybe even Demov.
How do you feel? Okay, we'll get onto it. All right, Zergy here forced to fight together up in his face. Big Gloom Bomb connection. Defend and fight used to try and keep Zergy in the game. He's looking rough. He still has a healing right, though, to top himself back up. There's plenty of fighting to be done. Here we go. Top up. Continue to fight. Buff Enjoyers are well and truly still in this game. It's a negligible soul difference. And Obikim's on the hunt.
It's a good day.
Jeez. This
Still got one more snipe.
Oh my goodness. Obikim nails him with the quick scope. Okay, that is the Sinclair out of the game. Guardians are being traded out here. Together wants to fight, though, on this right side of the map, and it's going to go in for a Captivating Reed. Locks him up. Parry attempt to be used. Not going to be gratified as Sharik cleans off the Calico. And now it's all Buff Enjoys on that right side to shove up a little further.
I didn't know Simple plays Deadlock, man.
Dude,
ridiculous.
Right? Is it Cold Zero moment? Anyone?
Yeah, man. I didn't know we were playing Mirage. I thought this was the cursed apple. I thought we were in New York.
But I mean, look how much health that Saint still had there. Like this purple build, this spirit investment for Obikim is pretty filthy. And obviously the extra souls you take from those kills is going to matter. All right, Saint might be in trouble yet again. Hex thrown down. Spectral Assistant gets him out despite the paradoxical swap threatening to catch him.
Can we go check out Obicam really quickly? Because I don't remember, I never remember the exact value, which is something to get better at. But I want to know if he's max leveled his Assassinate now, because he doesn't get the extra 800 souls until he does max it out. And that's something, again, you have to kind of keep track of, because if you get those souls from Assassinates, they go into your bag, right? They're unsecured. They did max it out, so he is going for it indeed. All right, so this means any kills he gets him an extra 800 souls to spend. But it also technically is an extra 800 souls for the enemies if he does drop the bag. Yeah,
I mean, but again, if you just buy, it still uses those unsecured souls, right? So you just want to try and very quickly get back to a shop and spend those. Taz, not too shabby there. Great little parry. This puts Hoot in a bit of an awkward spot, doesn't it? Affliction ticking down, and he scales the heights up the rope, but surely going to be pursued now by ABL, who wants a piece of him. Can't do much about it. Obviously hit by the crow here. Might just offer some farm. No, the chase is coming through from Dimov. Can't quite finish off with that ultimate. Rage peaking. Kited for a time, but eventually Papoka gets caught out. Got the macro here for Buff Enjoys, despite a comp that you thought might struggle to stay in step with them has been very good.
This is what I'm saying, is that if you lose to this comp, I mean, I would be on Giga Tilt if that happened to me right now. I mean, I think Abrahams will keep their cool, but this is tough, and I think this is showing again like how good of a team Buff Enjoyers are if they can make a comp like this work, I mean, yeah, Paige, I think in general, we're saying she's kind of weak at the moment when it comes to competitive, though I think we think Drifter's probably lower on priority. Actually, I don't know. Support Drifter is interesting. But Shark and Buffeter is more important. They're playing around these captivating reads so well.
Often it's, yeah, I mean, just you need to guarantee it. It's such a wind up on it, but you have other abilities like we mentioned, you know, Listic being able to use the bash down to knock up into it. You know, you have the stake as well to guarantee an easier time hitting that. Number of abilities. Also, like you just combo with like a swap or any of that. So, you know, Shriek, pretty important part of this composition. And don't forget that when we get into these fights, Listic is really benefiting from that running in charge, that healing that's going to be provided. And Buffinjoy is really pushing up the map. And you're going to notice them probably start to extend that solely a little bit, just with how many camps of Abrahams they're able to avail themselves of.
I mean, deep down, I feel like they still need to worry about like a big affliction coming through, because I can still really hold them back. And I think honestly, like if you're either team, I mean, maybe Buffinjoy, you want a team fight more often. Abrahams, I'd say you want to get picked, but without a Mo and Krill to support this, it's kind of difficult to do. So as the chain gang has come in, and so did the affliction. That's to be a quick kill in the ABL. He's only on 10,000 souls. He's been having a very tough time in this game.
I feel excessive. I feel paradoxical swap into chain gang, but Buffinjoys have a lot of lockdown. They have a lot of pick potential. And honestly, in those longer fights, I think Billy and Shiv really shine. And they also can scale pretty ferociously into this later stage of the game, which is not something that we normally feel Holiday and Paradox are able to do, just, you know, stats-wise. Here's the hook. It's going to be a telekinesis. How does Hoot get out of this one? Okay, Divine Barrier going to be used. Hoot backs off. Sharik protecting here. Captivating Reeve also going to be used. And the healing right provided. Hoot's going to walk away from this.
He got hooked mid-jump too, off the launch pad, off that jump pad, and yet he still escapes. Like the damage just wasn't quite there. And again, like for Jam side in particular, it's a Wraith early game. You're really not going to hit those bigger spikes until you're around the 30,000 soul mark, where you can start to do some serious damage. Very unfortunate for them to not pick up the kill with so much invested into that. At least for them, being on the right-hand side of the map, they do secure their pudding and get these extra souls, or these sinners for themselves, more importantly.
Although there's a fight brewing on this right side of the map, I suspect. Saint, though, getting to pick that up is pretty crucial. Knockdown, obviously, in the inventory is you've got to start to be concerned about what this Invicta can do. The itemization here, I mean, we do have a number of green items being sort of picked up, of course, and you know, Guardian Ward also that builds into that Divine Barrier, which is going to be important, especially if you're trying to, you know, debuff the Vindicta, knock it down and such. So that's going to be an available option with the investment also in that Assassinate. You're still hitting very, very hard for lesser investment in the Spirit department.
And funny enough, like one major conversation we had with seeing Aiden on Vindicta is when you talk about like how many mouths you have to feed on your team. There's a limited amount of economy on the map at any given time for you to take. Having a Vindicta max assassinate, and if you can get those kills, you basically take Vindicta off the map of needing too much farm, because you get so much extra income from the assassinates if you do hit them, obviously. So it makes it easier to feed over this farm to like specific heroes in particular. The lasso connects mid-air onto Saint, pulls him back in. They don't have the damage for him to just get away for free.
Spectral Assistant used. Dimov here, mindful, of course, that a Hyper Beam that's going to be cancelled, though, out by Taz. Buffinjoys have a chance to continue to come forward now. Abraham's splitting somewhat, and it's raw mobility of Dimov being used to stay in hot pursuit of Taz for a time. So it's going to be converted into some map control. There's just not a lot of neutral camps to fight for on this part of the map for Buffinjoys. Listic leaves the hotel. There's the Affliction straight away. Those Satchel going to be avoided. Chain Gang in play. Looks like it tugs two people back, but Listic's still waiting for assistance. There is a Vindicta hovering around this situation. That's an earn take. Hoot going down. Tass able to find that pick off now. Listic getting very, very low and very, very deep here. Yeah, what's Dimov? Going to get carted backwards. Not going to be able to find purchase on Abrahams, but Saf and Saint are very, very low.
I mean, they have the man advantage here on the side for Buffinjoyers. Finally, Dimov does get one back for his team. Jamsa, in the meantime, is pushing his right-hand lane. So someone has to go and defend it. Most likely Zergy, but he might be able to get the Walker down before there's even a chance of response. That would be massive for him and massive for the team getting themselves a flex stop, but instead he does back away. The fight does continue as Dimos being chased by ABL.
Yeah, now finally we start to see that Shiv getting a little bit low. ABL feels like there's more chunk damage that can be applied to the Shiv to keep him out of an oncoming fight, because that turn-in is #1 priority right now for Abrahams. And they've got a pretty good setup here. Now, from mid, though, we're going to have Obikim float over. We know that Hoot can very quickly cross this kind of ground. So Buff and Joy is not comfortable giving this up. This would start to push the Soul Lead to a more uncomfortable state. And Abraham's realized that Buff and Joys are lying in wait. They've also got this split push here from Zergy active. So shove that right lane in. Maybe put some more pressure down to Abraham's. Maybe try and force an error. Dimov carted back very, very low. Even when that bloodletting, bro, is getting chunked on down. Dimov can't escape. Just lingering a little bit too close to the sun.
This is your opportunity now for Abraham's. You didn't invest any ultimates into the fight. It was just simply a hook into a cart. You know you can position yourself around a turn in here. Maybe you want to go for a walker yourself if you want to continue to shove this mid lane. But a fight has breaking on the left-hand side together. Entering the shadows and will escape away from Hoot, but he still has a lasso available. And you can see Buff and Joy's Mitch. They want to contest this earn turn in still.
Lasso for Hoot. Trying to isolate this pocket. Going to be hard to hold him in place. Affliction is going to be the answer now. Chain Gang to combo with it. Saint going to be jerked forward briefly. That earn turn in. Definitely not a factor right now. There's a telekinesis. Saint is very, very low. Going to make use of the door to try and get on out of there. The dragon conjured up and will carpet that area in flame. And there's a cold front activation now. Listic's getting a little bit low, and then Hyper Beam has to be respected. Buff and Joy is now retreat, but they see Saint quite deep in their midst. Might have an opportunity to punish this, but Sharik, doesn't quite find the doorway. Has the Guardian ward himself. Hook did come in either way. Captivating Reed will ward Taz away, but he himself is now getting low. Then Invicta damage coming in from on high. Chunks him down to less than 200. So back through the door we go. Dimov unable to pursue as the door has been removed. Now, to the Baroness Hotel we go. That is going to be the Shiv taken out of the action for the time being. And look how low BER. Listic, Sharik, Hoot all have to get back. They can't be in this fight, but the Urn was picked up by Obikim amidst this whole engagement. Dimov finally emerges from the hotel and takes out his frustration on Jam side. That puts Buff and Joy's at a numbers advantage, and they might be clear to turn this Urn in.
How the hell did they get away without losing a single player in this fight and potentially Urn? Not to mention, they got a walker on the right-hand lane for this for free. This should never have happened. I mean, we had an amazing chain gang to start things off with Poland. I think it was 3 or 4 players with the captivating read from Shark right after that to lock them down. But there was like 3 players on their team who were so low on HP.
Stake connects. That is together for a time held in place, but they are able to skitter away. Obikim doesn't finish off the Sinners, but takes some extra souls away from that. Yeah, that's scary. I mean, there is an answer, I guess, to the Vindicta here, if you are Abraham's. But, you know, you've got the knockdown of Saint. Tass obviously can hook. But it did look like Obikim was free in that fight to do as he pleased.
Yeah. But I don't think he was hitting very many assassinates, or at least he wasn't confirming them into kills.
All right, maybe no one was low enough here. Okay, a lot happening here. Zergy has to back away. Yet another Affliction going to be deployed in this fight. The grenade being danced among by Zergy. A stake was attempted there from Obikim, but no catch. Glass cannon picked up here for Hoot. I'm curious to see what this holiday build is shaping up to be. Some interesting itemization, to say the very least, because Glass Cannon was also picked up, of course, by the Paradox, excuse me. That extra weapon damage on here, plus just the that's Lucky Shot, excuse me. Glass Cannon, fire rate increase. Anyway, here's the chain gang, Jason. Wall's going to be used to try and break that LOS, but Saint was a little too slow.
I mean, ABL, he's looking for something, but he doesn't have Affliction up anymore. Immediately gets forced back by Listic. You can see in the meantime, Hoot is over on the right-hand side of the map. I think he's going to teleport over to join the fight. So Buff and George is just focused on trying to stay alive here and trying to buy time for Hoot to get in towards this fight. As you can see, that's Calico together being held down to the ground by the tether, but immediately forced back yet again. And honestly, like Abraham, they have decent damage, but they just can't convert this damage into kills.
The earn priority is kind of crazy here, right? Tass caught up with the lasso, going a little bit low, and now won't be allowed to escape. Dimov finds the pick-off. Obikim obviously was hoping for an assassination there, I'm sure. But all this fighting has meant the Buff and Joys can't prevent an earn turn in now. Across the map, ABL has been hot footing. So Abraham sacking Tass in order to get this extra little infusion of souls.
I think this is mid boss. I think Buff and Joy is just going to rush it, realizing, okay, you guys can go for earn. Oh, no, but with ABL carrying it, he's not going to be there for an Affliction. So there's a very good chance that they could take him before he has a chance.
He can make it.
With Majestic Leap, yeah, he's going to have the opportunity here to contest. And you can see Abraham's immediately go in for the fight.
All right, mid-boss has gone down, but it's still a question of the rejuve now. In come Abrahams. This is where it gets a little bit more dangerous. Okay, running in charge. Come straight through. Rejuve buffs being split between them, and Abrahams actually getting themselves one. That's massive. One apiece is together is going to be brought back in the fight, so Abrahams don't have the buff to work with in this fight. Saint returning to the fray. Buff and Joys with the advantage, and a play that can soul revive and get back into the fight. Saf down for Zergy. That's a 2-for-2 trade as Sharik fell earlier, and Obikim now is going to fall. Abrahams with a slightly better team fighting composition are making it work for them. Captivating Reed catches together, but ABL is ahead of the game to find Dimov. And this is Abraham's team fighting setup that gives him the edge.
And Dimov dropped a massive bag as well in that fight you saw towards the very end. And it might not be done just yet. Listic with the knockdown coming through the chain gang just to buy him a second of time, but he'll fall nonetheless. And Abrahams, they get the earn and they get 5 kills on top, or 4 kills on top of this, while stealing away 2 of the crystals for only losing 2 players. Fantastic take for them. But the thing is, Mitch, it only equalizes the souls. It doesn't really give them a big advantage. It doesn't give them the lead whatsoever. It's just more of a catch-up play.
And obviously, they're at risk of losing base guardians here on that right side of the map. So obviously, Walker went down amidst that fight. But that is that infusion of souls that's keeping Buff and Joys well and truly in this game. Now, they can return to shove left side lane, farm their creeps on their side of the map. But we can see how this fight went down a little bit earlier. Pretty insane how these rejuves were split, Jason. Straight away, Doorman set up, gets caught out. Rallying charge thrown in instantly. And you see Affliction committed super early on in the fight. And now Buff and Joyers look like they got a little bit split. You can see they're heading in any which direction. Barrages were coming on in from ABL, guaranteeing that damage increase. Dimov fought well. Saf got picked off pretty early, but it's not like he's accounting for the lion's share of that team damage. And eventually Dimov just gets caught, even though Sharik tried to save him with the captivating read.
Those alchemical fires too, just like 2 thrown on the ground. A lot of extra free damage. You can see Listic has one. I don't remember who the second carrier was for Buff Enjoyers.
Overkill?
Possibly. Yeah. I'd say most like it would be him, but also it could technically go on Zergy though. I mean, it's Zergy. Is he going to pick up something like that? Probably not. But still, I mean, ridiculous play too, because we also saw Saf. He immediately went for the hotel guest onto Hoot, so there's no lasso to pull someone away from the crystal, so they can try to secure as many of them as possible. And with that last, oh my god, the tether on the leap from the vent completely catches up together.
Divine Barrier had to be used there. Looks like Listic went to the Baroness Hotel briefly. Let's see if he can pop himself back out. Zergy is low, but Abraham's taken a lick of damage in that first fight. Well, that first part of the engagement at the very least. Zergy eventually goes down. He was the low one, so this is a worthwhile trade for Buff and Joyce if they can find more. Sharik's low, but to stay out of the fight. This is going terribly wrong for Abrahams. Dimov is soaking up so much attention, so much damage. Should try and walk away and clear some of this sort of delayed damage, deferred damage that is, but he will eventually fall. Still, Buff and Joyers probably pleased enough with this exchange. They still have Overkim in the fight with big damage available. Listic is very healthy. Saf goes down and Hoot is on the hunt. Saint has fallen and it's just the ABL. He can try and defend his left side Walker, but Buff and Joyers are just going to go for the mid one.
Mitch, this is why I said for such a long time that honestly, I mean, drafts, they do matter. But at some point, it just comes down to how well you play as a team. And Buff and Joyers, in no right, I feel like should be winning this game based off the pick order they went with Paradox, Holiday, and Page in the first 3 picks. And yet we can see they do have a slight lead in Souls. They do have a slight lead in Control as well, having 2 walkers down. Just ridiculous stuff. I think it shows like the true caliber of how good this team is. Even another, oh yeah, the Glass Cannon picked up here for Hoot. I don't know how many stacks he currently has. And I think ABL, he might fall from this 400 HP left. Does create some distance from Zergy, but I mean, Zergy, he's gun build.
I mean, I think that's why the glass cannon sort of makes sense here, because all these picks are generating kills, which is obviously giving you those glass cannon stacks. So Hoot and Zergy want to guarantee themselves the chance to scale into this late game and be able to be relevant, even if they're more initiator and pick oriented, and the builds don't lend themselves to big scaling damage spikes. Together goes down. Overkim looking dangerous there. Assassination stacks, of course, still at the ready, and Abrahams might have lost their grip on this game, but the soul lead is close. There's not much to speak of, but with another Walker being looked at and a free earn turn in here for Buff and Joyce, this could still blow out of control.
Oh. He tried Paradoxical Swap and Spectral Assistant to pull all the way back to where he was. That was the idea was very sound and very cool, but it didn't work out. And we can see the urn being ran while this is happening. Potential hook to come in from Task to steal it away. You can even see the door positioned there appropriately too. The hook's, it's got to be coming. There it is. Pulls in Dimov.
Okay, didn't quite get the earn turn, and they're definitely going to fight for this paradoxical swap there, used by Zergy. Hyper Beam coming in, and Dimov just does not care. The defend and fight gives him more than enough durability to shrug off that bebop damage and get that little infusion of souls. Here, though, is looking a bit more dangerous. That Walker is hitting quite hard, and Dimov has to defer some of that, or rather clear some of that deferred damage that comes his way. Flying Coat got to be used to get ABL out of the fight, but Sharik was staring him down, and Hoot's able to find that elimination. Pockets out of the game. Affliction, of course, doing its work, but there's no one here to follow up on it in the aftermath.
Kind of crazy to see how much shield as well, or how much barrier Demuff had in that fight. Like he was getting focused down by a Bebop, and I think it was a Doorman, and yet he still gets away with like a massive 500 shield from Shark coming through to protect him. Guardian Ward in there, not to mention the heals he was able to provide. If you're able to keep like Demov alive in that situation, which honestly he should have died. It's kind of crazy to think that like Buffingers are making this work for them. And the weirdest thing to me, Uber, is that this game hasn't felt very equal, other than the fight we had at mid-boss with Abraham's winning out.
The gun holiday, bro, is giving me flashbacks to PayPal. That's crazy to see this come out here. Bro, come on. All right, yeah, the guy cheated. It's fine. He's persona non grata, but it's not like Voldemort. Like, we can still talk about it. I will also want to point out that, like,
doubling up here. You say the P word and the V word. My God.
Yeah, you got to mind your P's and V's on air, folks. Just bear that in mind. Again, you get extra barriers given out to additional teammates when you've got big investment in defend and fight. So, you know, that plus the rallying charge heal provided can be really, very significant. Demov is very, very rich right now. Hasn't really had a time to go back and buy. Has an open inventory slot, so surely wants to make use of that at some stage.
And he's got the most important power spike, I'll say, for Shiv. I could be completely wrong on this, but for me, it's always this max level killing blow. On that ultimate, he gets the resets. It makes him so much more deadly in these fights. We see him, you know, using it on, for instance, like a Bebop before onto Tass. This is a good hook into a telekinesis onto Zergy. And I mean, there's backup there. So again, like another heavy investment of a hook into a telekinesis, not netting anything for Abraham's here. Not netting that mana advantage they wanted to take the Walker, potentially mid-boss, but we can see Listic rotating over from the mid side, being followed up by Saint, as a fight most certainly should be breaking down here.
How's he live, bro? Zergy walks away again. How many members of Buff and Joy support Divine Barrier at this stage? I've got to wonder. See that, of course, on the Billy, which makes perfect sense. I think Obikum picked one up, or at least was working towards it with the Guardian Ward take earlier on in the game. What an absurd match this is. ABL picked off yet again. I think Abrahams are losing their grip on this. Mid-boss obviously is going to be a consideration now, as it is active, and Abrahams have successfully defended that left side Walker. Are you ready, Jason, for another absolute clusterstorm of a fight at mid?
Get your cinemas ready in chat. We can see Buff and Joyers going for it. Abraham's most certainly going to go for the contest here, and why wouldn't you? You do have Hex. You do have a lot of potential here to lock this one down. You can see Buff and Joyers respecting it, backing away, and even Shark getting a fight up against together outside of the mid-boss.
Hoot's low, might get caught here. Hex doesn't catch, but yeah, Hoot picked off by Saint. Good opportunity there to try and even up the numbers, but still Abraham's are disadvantaged by one, and Avos Taz. Buff and Joyce just peel off the mid-boss, say, okay, we have a player advantage. We're going to turn and burn and punish you for trying to interrupt us. Now they're going to go for it yet again. Mid-boss should fall this time. It's only Calico, Sinclair, and Doorman left for Abrahams to contest this, and they're going to try something.
Oh, he stole the last charge.
Here it is. Charge comes through from both sides here. A lot of horses out there, but it's all Buff and Joys all the time with the rejuve pickups. And Saf is going to try and drag himself out of this, but hit with the slowing Hex, this is going to be a tough ask. Can't even get through the door. And Buff and Joys got everything they wanted from that mid-boss exchange.
I mean, the rallying cry steal was good in theory yet again, but it was nullified by Shark having his own still up with him being alive. At least while this was happening, before we initially had this mid-boss being taken, Abrahams did secure a left-hand Walker out of Saf. But something we have to put our attention to here, Mitch. Look at the souls for Buff and Joyers, and look who has the majority of them. And look how big that number is. 43,000 for Zergy.
It's a big number, dude.
He's 10k ahead of Jamside, who's supposed to be their M1 hero on the other side.
Zergy has one kill too. He just has one kill, bro. Oh my god. Bro is absolutely farming up a storm. That is insane. So that second outfire is on Obikim, which is kind of what we expected. Not sure if he should be TPing right now or not, but that is the earn turn in destination just above him. So Buff and Joys are going to be ready for yet another injection of funds. The Page is far on the left side of the map, though. Sharik a little bit low and trying to bait Abrahams, I think, away from the turn-in location, which makes sense. Paige herself doesn't have the best escape, and ABL is in hot pursuit, so that could go badly for the Bookworm, but still, Buff and Joys definitely got what they wanted. It's that left side of the map they've got to scrutinize at some point, but Saints hit with the ground and pound, baby. No escape for you. Chain Gang going to be committed, and now some base Guardians being dragged down.
Bro, DMod is buying so much time on this left-hand side and so much information. He saw, was it 4 players out of Abraham's there, which allows the rest of Buff and George to say, hey, we're just going to push this right lane. We get an easy catch on a Saint. DMod, he wastes a Rejuve Crystal, but he still does not die. And they're back pushing them away from this, and the last is not going to connect, but who does ridiculous damage on this Holiday?
What is the fire rate of this Holiday, bro? It's like a semi-automatic weapon at this point. Clearly, the glass cannon is doing some serious work. Patron is knocked. Abrahams have to turn around and defend, which means that Demo continue to be a pain in the neck and go after this Walker. Now Buff and Joy's back up towards the mid. There are base Guardians there, and Abrahams know this is the time. They've got to fight now, but Saf's already been picked off. Together has to respect the pressure of the billion. Oh my goodness. 2.3k damage off the Holiday. What the heck is Hoot doing, man? Hitting like an absolute truck. And there was nothing that Abrahams could do about that. GG is right. What a performance. A ridiculous draft from Buff and Joy's. Has some rocky moments in the lane, but as they get out, the macro paves the way for some smooth sailing from this team. And I mean, you could not ask for a better way to start this series. A bizarre draft, but the execution is still world class.
Bruh, like, what is this? What is this draft? What is this play? I think Buff and George, as you said, they just showed us, like, it really doesn't matter what you give them. They are still the most skilled team out here in the world at the moment. And with a wonky draft like that, I mean, I don't think most people out there would have expected them to win, but they sure as hell didn't. They came to play today. I
gotta ask Jake. I'm really curious to see how Jake weigh in on this, right? Because it does feel like that gun investment for the Paradox and the Holiday were intended to give Buff and Jordan some artificial scaling potential, or at least a way to make use of those souls that they were getting.
It's a great point, Mitch. I think the highlights of this game really show. I mean, there are many opportunities where Abrahams are fighting well, and you kind of look at this draft from Buff and George and you think, okay, is this just like a meme comp? Or are they just trying to do, this crazy strat, maybe trying to hide strats going into the Trolli tournament, of course, this weekend in EU. But I think also the fact that you can just play Holiday and Paradox as gun carries, this is Deadlock, right? You can build characters in ways that people aren't really building them right now, because a different item build yields a completely different result as a hero. And this is pretty much textbook Zergy. He's 1 kill like late in the game, top souls by 10k, and just monster gun damage ending the game off the back of a couple good team fights. So, you can play gun carry on Paradox. It works. Holiday 2, Hoot and Zergy just showed it.
Oh, man. This is crazy. I mean, yeah, we obviously saw the double page ultimate here from this mid-boss take, and credit for it's due to Saint, who really tried to work this Sinclair into the game, but it felt like, Jason, it wasn't long before Saint got left behind by the play and wasn't able to be quite as relevant outside of those lanes. Look at the fire rate on this guy, bro. The damage is so sick.
Blood Tribute, man. I think we've had someone on the Graveyard Shift not too long ago, or maybe it was an interview after one of the matches, talking about how Blood Tribute is secretly an insanely strong item. It was John, as you guys were, slipped in a little bit of Deadlock talk besides your engineering talk, I heard. It's easily going to be a ridiculous item once people realize how good it is and what heroes it really slots into. But yeah, you saw there, just, I don't know what else to say, honestly. That was...
And now you got problems, Abrahams. Coming into that next match, you got to think about like this draft. You got to think about the previous weeks. You got to think about the upcoming tournament, and you're down 1-0, backs against the wall tonight here in the night shift. However, before we go to that second game, before we go to break and let the players get ready, we do have a surprise announcement for the fans, folks who caught the NA aspect there of our Trolli tournament, the first weekend. You might have seen our mid boss. You might have enjoyed that Trolli mid boss, pretty epic mod from A's Lion, which we really appreciate him putting that together for us because it came out immaculately. And by popular demand, we are going to be able to release it to you, the community. So we're going to be dropping the mod, allowing everybody to bring the Trolli mid boss into game. We got approval from Trolli. They made it happen. They talked to the corporation. They got it settled, and now you can have this absolute beast of a mid boss in your own game.
Dude,
exclamation point mid boss in the chat.
It's the worms at the bottom that look like arms around the belly. Like that kind of does it for me, man.
It waves its little arms. This is so fire.
That's awesome.
It's perfect for Halloween too, because some of the worms' faces look like they don't want to be there, and they wonder how the hell did I wake up and get to this point. But amazingly done. And I think we're so happy as well to see Trolli be so receptive to the feedback from all the viewers out there, loving the mod, wanting to have it in their own game, and giving us the opportunity to give it to you guys at home.
Yeah. And I want to point out that, like, who knows, like, down the line, obviously, I don't know how long we'll be able to do this for, right? Just to be honest with you guys. I don't know, like, some point of Valve are like, we don't, I don't know how we feel about that, but for now, like, we're making the most of it. Hope you guys enjoy it. It's all in good fun, and obviously, a great way to commemorate Trolli with a huge involvement in Deadlock Esports, alongside, of course, our friends at Intel, really getting behind the scene, pushing it, giving these players a reason to compete, and getting everyone super motivated. So we're super thankful for them to partner with us. Hopefully we can do it again in the future. And yeah, enjoy your wormy mid-boss, folks. It's it's one for the ages.
One thing we talked about during the event as well is, what if we had a mid-boss similar to that with our faces on it?
Oh, that would be so cursed. That's the night shift mid boss, is all of us in, like, tangled up.
Could you, like,
oh my god,
could you, like, put my head on Urs Kalachinsky's body doing a front double bicep while I was blasting people with my, like, laser beam? Dude, I would.
The laser should come out of your biceps.
If we want the mid boss to be like 80% forehead, I think it's possible.
Oh, okay, bro, that's crazy, dude. Anyway, it's great what we can do with this game. It's kind of awesome that, we can, I don't know, bring some of the stuff to life. Obviously, we are not, like, super corporate people, right? It's not what we do. We're casters and we're gamers, right? It's just kind of awesome to bring those two worlds together. And the fact that Trolli, like, want to partner up with, like, a bunch of new, idiots like us to make this fun tournament for you guys, I think is awesome. I guess I'll speak for myself there, but it's great. And all I can say is I want to do more of it. But dude, speaking about utter nonsense, I'm very curious to see what this game 2 looks like, because I don't know who was said it. Jason said Abrahams will be boomed after losing to this. If it happened, well, read them and weep, baby.
Look at that monster farm on Zergy, 50k souls, and he's got crippling, he's got glass cannon. But it's also impressed me, the degree to which this style, like, I mean, this is so interesting. I'm like, am I reading into this too much, thinking that there's actually legitimacy in being able to use picks like Holiday and Paradox to run as your gun carry, thinking that, hey, they're fine gun carries, they're gonna be effective, but also you're having really valuable skills. Like, it's not like you're not gonna use your lasso and your swap and your wall, like, there's great utility on these kits now. And you scale as a gun carry, and you're blocking the opponent from really getting the initiators the comp that they're hoping to find. And I mean, we see the execution from Buff Enjoyers on such a level where those questions don't even necessarily matter. You can't even tell if this team is trying their best. They're just that good.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's crazy. You can see a crippling headshot here for Zergy alongside the glass cannon. For Hood, it's glass cannon, lucky shot, picked up all these tier 4 gun items, kind of allowing them really to be impactful. Look at this Holiday damage. We used to think a gun Holiday was a bit of a meme, and obviously there was a controversial situation that involved that certain build, but bro, these guys are really making it work. What an entertaining game. One of my favorites, I think, despite Abraham's probably differing with me on that opinion.
Also, a big shout out to Mr. Blaze in chat. I think he was given 2,200 bits over the course of this last game, and I think as requested as well by the chat. I think we have to do this before we head to break, and okay. I got my bleep button ready for this one. Because I'm telling you, Zergy is as cracked as he is jacked. I saw him at the 7-Eleven the other day buying Monster and adult diapers, and I asked him what are the diapers were for, and he said they contain my full power, so don't completely on these kids. Then he wall jumped out the door.
And with that, we're going to send it to break. Thank you for our community, and we'll be right back with the conclusion of this money match. It's Abrahams. They're down 0-1, but they're not out of it just yet. We'll see if they can take on the Buff Enjoyers after this. Welcome back, everybody. If you're just joining us, it's the Buff Enjoyers up 1-0 over Abrahams with a very unconventional composition, but they got it done, man, in classic Buff Enjoyers style. The execution, too clean. Was it Mitch or Jason who said that Abrahams would just be too tilted if they lost that game to continue? Do you think that there's any hope for them now, Jason? I feel like they got everything they wanted last game. It just wasn't enough.
I kind of regret saying that, because I think at the same time, they're not really too fussed about it, considering what's coming up this weekend. Like $10,000 on the line, 5K for first place. They have to refresh their mental and get ready for that one. It's got to be so tilting losing to a comp like this when they drafted like a really good composition on their side. They just got outclassed.
I think it goes to show that you can, in Deadlock, you can always itemize out of some of your weaknesses, like as a team comp. We've often talked about how teams that over-index in those like hard initiation sort of heroes that maybe pick up more utility-focused items can struggle. I think we saw it like last week. I think it was one of our NA teams tried to really abuse Veil Walker before it was nerfed, actually, and they picked like 3 of the hard initiate heroes and just tried to sort of use that. And, that was counted out by a comp that fought better as a team. And I just think here, Lightbringer understands what the weaknesses of the comp are when they're going for a lot of this initiate and says, okay, let's make sure we're relevant in every stage of the game. The early, mid stage, because of our utility and our initiation, and the late stage because of our raw power. And knowing when to itemize away from one direction to the other and make that sort of shift in paradigm, I think is what really sets Buff Enjoyers apart. They know how to play to their strengths. The power spikes when you're more utility focused look really different, right, to when you are more numbers focused and more damage focused, and playing to those particular peaks and troughs is really important, and it's really hard to identify when it's happening. So something well worth looking out for these top teams.
And Buff Enjoyers just have shown, I think, consistently that the execution, the team play, their ability to fight on these objectives is second to none right now in Europe and likely the world, given the state of Deadlock here today. So they're definitely laying their claim here on that first place prize in the Trolli tournament. By the way, guys, set your clock, set your watch. It's going to be coming at you live this weekend. So that's when the EU portion is arguably the highest level Deadlock in the world. We saved the best for last. So the Night Shift X Trolli Open coming at you live here October 24th to 26th in Europe. So Friday, that's going to be that open qualifier day. We will be broadcasting here, but we will have a ton of co-streamers, a ton of people, putting those games on, streaming their own games in the quali. And then, of course, joining with the top 4 of the open quals on our invited teams, the best in Europe. That top 8 is going to take place on Saturday, Sunday, the 25th, 26th. 20K prize pool put up for grabs by the good people at Trolli. Show them some love on social media.
Important to note as well, on Sunday, we do have in Europe daylight savings time hit. So the times won't change for Europe, but they'll change for North America if you're trying to watch the show. So keep that in mind when you're coming around to tune in. But yeah, big shout out to them, man. It's so great, as we said before the break, seeing these big corporations get involved with like grassroots events. I mean, Deadlock, it's in closed beta. And we're having like Trolli get in here. We're having Intel get in here. It's been so fantastic to see the support for the game and support for the show as well. And also big shout out to Flint Stowe, who's gifted 16 subs so far now today. This man is gifting nonstop. And not to mention Mr. Blaze gifting 10 himself. And I believe that puts us actually at over 1,200 subs on this channel. I mean, on DFN, I think we're at like 200-300. I never thought we would ever break 1,000 subs like this.
We're so, support. Thank you very much.
The good people. We reached our milestone. Appreciate that. And I mean, it's just been insane seeing the level of community engagement around Deadlock as a game. And, like you mentioned, having the sponsors coming in, giving these players something to play for. Like, even though Deadlock is in beta, you got to hand it to these players. They're grinding the game. Like, Buff Enjoyers is putting work in to be this good, to master things on this level. And for us to be able to put on this kind of esports content, we couldn't do it without the community. We couldn't do it without the players, their incredible passion for the game. So many layers of support really coming in from all directions. And I think the Twitch subs, it's just a number, but I think it is indicative of that level of, just excitement for the future of this game, Deadlock, that we all know and love. And speaking of this beautiful game, we're going to get right into this draft here for game 2 and see if Abrahams have what it takes to at least even the score at 1-1. Mitch, I think you talked about this. Let's see a full 3 here. We want to see an Abrahams coming to compete, especially this weekend.
Yeah, thanks again, Mr. Blaze, for another 10 gifted that comes in. I think now Abrahams probably don't really know what to do outside of just draft a comp that once again works for them. So they're opening in the same way. They're putting Buff Enjoyers in the position where they have to ban that Kelvin away. Clearly, Buff Enjoyers felt, and reasonably so, that Kelvin would be a problem for them, even with their fruity take on the draft. So you should expect to see these first couple of bans proceed normally. I don't know if Buff Enjoyers are going to go for that same look. Abrahams cannot afford to ban out like any of the centerpiece heroes of that Buff Enjoyers strat. So there's always the potential of happening again. Flint Snow, thank you for the 10 gifted. 1,222 subs in total, guys. Thank you. You are absolutely blowing it up right now. We really appreciate it.
And another 10 for Mr. Blaze as well before that. Ridiculous stuff coming through. I think I want to ask myself, Jake, is what's the worst possible comp Buff Enjoyers could draft and still win? I'm thinking like, what could they go for here that would be even more disrespectful?
The classic Dynamo lane.
Oh yeah,
McGinnis Dynamo lane. Let's go. Let's see if you can survive that lane. I want to see the Zergy McGinnis. Honestly, high key thoughts on that. I want to see Zergy McGinnis emerge from the jungle in 20 minutes.
We did have a McGinnis played in the Trolli Open this last weekend. Wander played it of all people. Didn't work out for him, but at least we got to see Vegetus.
I saw the socials tweeting about it. I was like, damn, I'm missing some seriously good Deadlock right now. So if we see a holiday here, Buff and Joyce are drafting the same comp. And they are just like wagging their fingers in Abraham's face here. It would be very funny. It's just the draft has proceeded in the exact same fashion as it did prior.
Yeah, and why not, right? Why not? Especially because even though last game we saw these played as like this, the double mid laners, which they're both great on the lane, where your item build isn't even really sorted yet. But do they both scale as gun carries? Is it the same players playing them? Those options are still open to Buff and Jar. So although it seems that they're doing the same thing,
that could go anyway.
I think sneakily they have a lot of options given these two openers, given that they've shown they can play the gun carry. But it's Abrahams who blinks first here. They're gonna go for the Infernus, so making a little bit of a switch up.
Yeah, I think that's important. It's going to allow them, like, obviously it's a capacitor carrier, a late game scaling gun carry. Things that obviously Buff and Joyce made sure that they had in spades in their previous game. It does require some time. And as you know, Infernus does require a little bit of space in order to bring that away. Shiv is going to be picked off from Buff and Joyce. So now, like, their tanky frontliner options are limited a little bit more towards a Billy and Abrams direction, right? You could take Abrams. I think the conversation was that maybe, later in the game, you like to be on that Shiv side of things. So Abrahams are trying to interact a little bit with Buff and Joyce's game plan from game one.
Sorry, I'm a little late.
And I mean, that's the risk of these glass cannon builds, right? They're powerful.
What? 50 gifted, bro. Holy.
Gifted.
No way, bro. Holy.
Hit him with the flex, Mitch. Hit him with the flex for that. For 50 subs, you got to hit him with the flex. I'm wearing a sweater, but you can imagine what's under there.
Let's go, baby. Thank you.
Damn.
50 gifted. That's nuts, man. No shit. Hype train was started Twitch. No shit.
I'm also curious, like, now that I see these three again, and now we have a little bit more perspective from game one, the Page Shield in theory is super broken, but because it gives you these incredible gun stats boosts while it's active. The problem with it though is if you're taking damage, you're gonna just lose the shield right away. You're gonna lose the buffs it provides, and your damage is gonna come back down to earth. But for stuff like Holiday, where you're just bouncing around, Paradox, playing behind the time wall, you might preserve that shield from Page a lot deeper into these fights. And when you're going Glass Cannon, Lucky Shot, Hollow Point, you're going this like all in raw gun damage build, like people are just melting in front of you. And so that's maybe just like a little part of the equation here that Lightbringer's cooking up for Buff and Joy.
I also, like, obviously we talked about how desirable fire rate is for Holiday because you have more chances to reduce crack shots cooldown and get that really crippling slow debuff. And that's what obviously Defend and Fight does with that second level of investment. So Holiday is super happy to get that fire rate increase whenever it's available. It's also like Loki, like with Hayes, it's kind of nasty. She loves a bit of fire rate too. Calico and Shiv though, Abraham's definitely drafting, and in the last game we thought that their composition was really, really solid. Flint Snow,
these gifted are crazy, dude. Just again and again and again. No way, dude.
Dude, what level hype train is this, bro? I don't know.
We're leveling up. That's for sure. That is for sure.
Level 9, level 10 now, dude.
Wait a minute. Okay, the
45 gifted from Flint today and 30 for Mr. Blaze. Plus the 50 anonymous.
Insane support, but the Mo though, I really like this Mo pick because you get all this fancy trickery with your Paradox and your Holiday and being so mobile and stuff, but who better to stifle that than the Mole Man?
Yeah, I mean that is going to be pretty important, and maybe something that Abraham's skirted around earlier. We did see Mo and Crew picked up in game one, right? So it's something that we questioned whether would be prioritized. The Yamato and Pocket though come in here. I mean, Yamato obviously someone who can really be unleashed, especially if she has that supportive investment. And in lane, bro, she is so annoying. Holy crap. Crimson Slash reducing fire rate. The fire rate differential you can create here is kind of insane. And we just know what she does with Shadow Transformation. Very powerful. Ivy, the gun carry, still viable. We still saw gun Ivy, even after some of those tweaks to the gun damage growth over time. I think that's still a direction you can go with, but you don't have to. We talked about Paradox and Holiday being viable gun carries to a degree, right, based on the itemization of the last game. So there's a lot of different ways that this could branch.
Yeah, I mean, we should for sure see Gun Ivy still really strong if you can get to that point. But the thing is, they don't really have any tanks. They have Yamato to soak up the damage in the front, and it's probably going to be Zergia and Ivy, which means Demov's going to be on Paradox, I'm assuming, if they're going to continue to play the same route. But then is Hoot going to be on Holiday when you have Pocket available, since Hoot's the pocket player for the team? There's a lot of questions for them. But on the other side for Abrahams, I mean, if we were looking at this comp and we blocked off the team names and we didn't see that first match, I think all of us would be like Abrahams, hands down, because they have a very legitimate composition with hooks into a Mo and Krill ultimate. I think with what they're currently running, we should see a map 3. Like I find it so hard for them to lose with a comp like this.
Yeah, you know, the hard thing to bet against is just the Buff Enjoyers macro. I think they've staked such a claim on Deadlock right now that we can see a draft that, like, look, I'm gonna be honest, I don't understand this draft. You know, I'm looking at the drafts, I'm like, Abraham should win. I thought that last game too, though, and clearly I was wrong. So, you know, the way Buff Enjoyers is taking the game right now is truly exceptional. It's one thing to be on top. It's another thing to be that #1 team and to keep pushing, to keep going to that next level, showing us something new and different, and still winning with it, right? And still making it really sing in terms of the composition here. So it's hard to bet against the Buff Enjoyers, but at the same time, I mean, I think this Mo is gonna feast. I feel like this is a monster Mo game. It's just Lasso and then the Ivy Stone form as like reliable stuns to cancel out combo. And man, if they could just, if Bebop and Mo can cook, this feels like a super difficult game. Even Yamato, if you get hooked in by Yamato and Mo's right there, you get comboed, no chance to press your ulti. So I feel like the playmaking potential is absolutely there for Abrahams. This should be a super difficult game for the Buff Enjoyers.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the Bebop Doorman like mid lane combination is definitely going to be pretty fearsome. But Paradox Holiday, like as a lane matchup, it looked okay, honestly, for Buff Enjoyers, right? We know how powerful just those lassos can be and dragging people under your Guardian. And again, good poke between crack shot, between kinetic, between a carbine, right? You can do a lot to try and take Abrahams very, very low. But I don't know. We have to. It's our job to get in here and look at the draft and say who we think's going to win based on it. Obviously, we were incorrect in the last game, but I don't feel bad about it because Buff Enjoyers just showed that extra level of macro, and we saw these incremental value wins for Buff Enjoyers again, which is just so emblematic, I think, of their great macro style. It's like managing to control urns. Like there was an urn that they shouldn't have been able to turn in. Like one, they're like, Abrahams are holding it until like, you know, for about as long as possible. They've got position, they've got turn-in location, and somehow Buff Enjoyers still end up with it at the end of a fight. They like roughly trade evenly and get the urn, and I'm like, okay, like it, fine, whatever. It doesn't matter what we think about the draft. Like that's just the way these guys play the game, man.
You know, I love how you two are here to keep us on topic because I'm completely looking at chat and what's happening. We got another 10 gifted for Mr. Blaze, which puts us over 1,300 subs. Didn't we just say we broke 1,200?
We were just at 1,200.
Dude.
And we just broke 1,300. You know what? I'm going to go one step further. If we can get 1,350 before the end of this next map, I will show you what I am wearing below the camera. And I'll tell you right now, it is very interesting and you're going to want to see it.
Mitch, I want you to carefully review the TOS.
It is not against TOS.
Okay, I want to carefully review the TOS.
I'm just going to
make these promises.
Consult with our legal
here.
counsel.
How many to not do that? Like how many subs above and beyond to not
if we can get to 1,400, I won't do it. But if we can get to 1,350 and stay under 14, then I will do it.
This is the best sub goal I've ever heard, man.
How much you turn off your camera for the rest of the show?
For a simple price of 200 subs, which is about 200 coffees, you can get me to turn off my camera for the rest of the show.
For the low price of 200 coffees.
We are losing it. Bro!
Oh my God.
Oh, you got even the official Trolli account is getting involved with this. My goodness.
Does this mustache mod make me look even more yummy? I guess I have a backup Halloween costume as Jake Kaplan. If not, you know what? That's fair. That's fair.
Bro, Trolli gamers, bro. Holy. Okay, dude.
Let me tweak up the mustache a little bit.
Yeah, you got to get that.
So,
get your wax out. Get it twisted. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Get those like
you gotta oil up
corners. I'm trying to see like that you're like prospecting for gold. You know what I'm saying? That's the vibe I want, Jason.
So this town ain't big enough for the two of us, you know?
Yeah, after we get a break, I can go wax this bad boy up and give you a little...
Wax it up.
But, you know, we got to wait for the game to end before we can get to that. But no, man, it's so great to see Trolli so involved with this. And you know what? The worm did it better. You know, I've been growing this out for like 2 months, and the worm...
You got to lock in,
my
bro.
Butt. I got to lock in. I got to step my game up.
God. All right, what are we waiting for? These boys want to get in the game for us, or we must have mass...
They're waiting for us to hit the go button. That's
yeah, obviously. Caster start the game. T2ers. All right, we are getting into it. It is Buff Enjoyers up 1-0 over Abrahams. 50 gifted. Oh boy, Jason.
The peaceful Kraken.
Zoom out that camera, baby. Zoom out that camera. We are
halfway there, bro. That's all I'm saying.
So does that mean? So that means we need no one now to sub.
Stop
and say under 1,400 if you want to see the pants.
No more
subs. Stop subbing immediately, please.
Do not sub.
Actually, no. We need 50 more subs, please. I'm begging you. I forgot how this works. We need 50 more to stifle this.
Wait, don't we need
Of course.
150 to avert this disaster? Is
That's
that the
camera off. That's camera off.
Okay.
50 more to get me to not show the pants.
Oh, okay, dude. All right. Let's just get into the video game.
Irrepressible. Mitch, Jason, take it away, guys. Let's see if Abrahams have what it takes to keep this one interesting.
Already, Hoot's got himself snarled up in a bit of an engagement there. I think suffered a bomb and a call bell from Abrahams, whilst Zergi, well, did what he does best, which is farm. Picking up a couple of those souls here through the middle part of the map. Our lane assignment on the right-hand side. You see the Yamato of Listic is on that right side, alongside the page of Sharik. So I talked about the fire rate disparity you can create with Crimson Slash and Standard Defend. And yeah, you can obviously do that. You get that little fire rate increase, which is obviously not what Yamato necessarily cares about, but then right clicks are pretty freaking annoying in lane in general. And this is going to be a really frothy mid lane setup here, Jason. Frothy, huh? Volatile.
Now I just think of coffee, and again, the low price of 200
of them.
Yeah, 200 of them. You know what's funny? You're talking about like bullet speed disparity or like attack speed disparity. I saw a video not too long ago where if you get enough attack speed reduction, you can shoot, but your bullets don't move.
Wait, really? I thought it was just fire rate and not the projectile speed.
The fire rates are the projectile speed. You can change that.
Oh, okay.
So I think I have to like actually go check. But is there one
like
you create a wall of
stuff?
bullets? Yeah, you create a wall of bullets on the map somewhere, and if people walk through it, do they take all the damage from your bullets?
Bro,
Do the
what?
bullets disappear? I don't know.
That reminds me of playing Unreal Tournament and using freeze mode and then getting the Ripper and just firing a bunch of Ripper shots and then seeing what they do. Like they bounce around in the room and they crash your PC. So thank you very much, Flint Snow, for the 10 kills.
I mean, Flint, you become the savior and the hero of the channel, but now you're approaching the point where you might become the villain.
He's lived long enough to become the villain, bro. That's crazy. Together here, big damage. My goodness, looks like a, excuse me, Kudzu bomb there. Tickling at him. Dimov, though, in a reasonably healthy spot here. It is Abrahams trying to get their hands a little bit dirty in this lane. It is, of course, that Shiv set up here alongside the Infernus of Jam side. So already, I'm just watching how these discs move around on the minimap. You can see in mid, very, very active. But Abraham's a good push here. Shoving a wave in under that Guardian, finding some decent Guardian damage as well. Okay, Crimson Slash being used. Shield also being given over to Listic just to allow him to go for some of those more risky trades.
I think I wonder how that lane's going to play out when we do get to ultimates. Because again, like Yamato, you can afford to play aggressive like this when you have the protective barrier of Shark there to keep you alive. And then also you have the escape potential with Captivating Read. It really makes it easy for any brawler in the lane, like a page of support, especially if you have early Guardian Ward, to just take a lot of damage and really not have to worry too much about escaping. Not to mention, Yamato is very sustainable with that Crimson Slash 2 on top of it. So it's going to be, I still say, a very difficult lane. And obviously when you get to ultimates, the combos can be very important. But I still feel like you're not really going to win out on that lane against Listic and Shark with the ultimates they have online.
Yeah, you're not wrong. They have so much they can throw once they have those falls online that really slants that engagement heavily in their favor. Thank you very much for the gifted there to our guy Arze, who's done some great job, of course, with modding here in the map. What's going on with the mini-map there in mid? Either way, slight disarm here. Doesn't really seem to bother Listic as he can still throw the Crimson Slash in. Also, Dragon conjured up. A burrow required there from Saint. Wants to try and unburrow. Scorn also used, but Listic is well clear of it now. Once again, gets that shielding. Power Slash catches onto ABL. Flying Strike also pretty good. Crimson Slash would have been a follow-up there. Just good damage. Yamato, dangerous as a laner. Low as Listic is gone. Still confident coming forward to take that damage.
Going for Healbane too as a first item. So really looking to get brawly here. Once you get one of those kills with your Shadow Transformation, man, you heal up so much. You know, so extend the duration of your Shadow Transformation in the fight. Again, this is going to be such a difficult lane to fight back from. You almost have to invest in some sort of healing, which we haven't seen out of ABL just yet. Some crazy stuff already taking place in this right-hand side. And you know what? Buff enjoyers need to chill with this because they're making Paige look good and making her look viable. And I don't know if I like that. I mean, I like seeing Paige, but I don't know if I want to see her in my games.
Anyone's going to do that, though? It's probably Sharika Robikin, though. I'm not sort of too surprised. God, that Power Slash is nasty. 173 damage to the dome here for ABL. Makes it that much harder to go aggressive with those leaping slashes to find that damage. And Listic, obviously, a Healbane already being picked off just to really try and punish this. But here comes the combo. ABL hit with the Power Slash, but Sharik burnt down too quickly. Listic has to get out. There is no winning this fight. Around the corner, avoiding the gloom bombs, and will live to fight another day. Sharik, though, can come back into this fight pretty darn quickly. He's already respawned, but Abraham's mindful of the Page being able to return to the fray.
I guess that's one way to beat him in lane. Get your ultimates before they do, and then you combo on Shark and you get yourself an easy kill. I mean, obviously, Listic would be the target buff enjoyers want, but if you take out the captivating read and you take out any sort of shielding, not to mention the ultimate out of Page, like it is very possible to go for those kills, but a good timing by them to secure the kill.
They did it before Shadow Transformation was available for
exactly.
Listic, right? That's very heads up.
Oh,
All right, what we got here? A little barrage over the top. Majestic Leap being used. Together, not affected by many of those barrage shots, but Saf has fallen in mid. Not ideal, just the Bebop left now, so Buff Enjoyers using both of those Initiator ultimates. Zergy hooked forward, this is just for damage. Taz trying to negotiate from a position of power despite losing his lane mate. Saf is going to be on his way back towards mid, but I told you it'd be volatile. That Paradox Holiday lane, once they get that 4 online, is scary.
Yeah, very scary. It's just so much control you have to deal with and so much damage that they both can do, especially paired in with the crack shot on top of that. You're still having to respect these portals, and you have to respect the barrier that Saf and Tass are playing with those doorways. But so far, I mean, it's not that big of a lead for Abrahams, though I don't really expect a big lead to happen. I think what I'm more focused on is the Guardian damage being done on this left-hand side. Buffenjor is getting it down below half HP already off the bat. And Obikim, he's going to be on the Ivy, and it will be leaving Zergy on the Paradox.
Okay, so, you know, maybe we might not see that sort of position 1 Obikim game again. We didn't get it last time either, even though it was on Vindictor, excuse me, went for that Alchemical Fire build. Okay, Satchel gets a good chunk of damage here on the Together, who was definitely looking to chase down the Ivy, but back to safety. Obikim was able to get, had to use that supply drop in order to do so. Scary stuff over here. Shadow Transformation being used on the right side of the map now. Return to Shadows, no connection, but good Guardian damage being done here by Abrahams. Listic in the fight wants to chase Saint down, but that Burrow's going to get him out of trouble. So it is slowly loss of value for Buff Enjoyers on the right. That Guardian is getting beat up pretty badly.
I think it's going to fall on this next push too. I mean, once we have the return out of Obikim, you can see Jamstad's already low on HP, so it's really difficult for him to go for a defense on this unless they want to invest the combustion and look for a fight themselves. And by getting this kill, you can allow Demov to just get a lot of free farm in this lane and allow Obikim. Well, I guess it depends. Do you want to give the farm to Obikim or Demov? With Majestic Leap, I guess you're going to get around the map a lot quicker, so you want to focus him to get the jungle creeps and allow Obikim to get the farm in lane.
Yep. Can still be a really relevant threat. Still feels like you want to take faster as soon as you can anyway. Guardian down. Demov getting what he wanted on this left-hand side of the map. This is before Jamside is able to return. Buff Enjoyers get that all-important first Guardian. Now Saint's got to have his wits about him. In under the Guardian, he goes. Captivating Ree's going to lock him up. Great parry on the Listic, though. Low is the Yamato. Listic with no Shadow Transformation available. Saint's going to have to give up his life for this, I suspect. Combo used, but Hoot is healthy. Maybe hoping that Listic was the one that would be caught up there. So the Moen Crew is going to be picked off. This now leaves Hoot free to rotate for a quick mid-play. Hot pursuit, though, for ABL. Trying to chase his Holiday away. Make use of that mobility as Listic was looking for a bit of a fight. Here's the Doorman, though. Saf dragged underneath that Guardian, but can use a door now just to poke it from a safer distance. Look at this. In and out he goes. Hyper Beam going down on that mid-Guardian. And Buff Enjoyers at risk of losing their foothold here. So the rotation comes in. Obikim now is in position. Hook straight away. Stone Idol has to be used. Stun on Taz is effective. He has to double back behind his own Guardian as the Kudzu Bomb spreads that damage. Looks like Buff Enjoys, though, still want to fight for this. Guardian down to now half. The Paradox is turned up. Wall is in the way. Hoot needs to get back. Given a shield, though. Bomb carried onto 3 players of Abrahams as Taz is trying to double back away, but Guardian is gone. Saf now next to fall, and Taz surely has to be next on the chopping block. Hook catches on the Zergy. Bombs there as he's knocked in the direction of the Walker. Big damage off the Walker. And that is going to be enough to bring him down. Nice turnaround by Taz.
Well, they get punished going so deep. While that was happening, Saint did backdoor the Guardian in middle too, so it prevents Buff Enjoyers from pretty much getting a big advantage off that middle lane. And Saint even retreats back towards this right-hand side to make sure to protect their Guardian because they're currently down to just that one remaining, which means Buff Enjoyers, they don't have a flex slot unlocked. With Obikim rotating towards middle, trying to apply the pressure there, it leaves Demov to get some free farm on this left-hand side up to 8.1 thousand souls, and he's going to be a massive menace when we get to these fights. And compared to the last game, Mitch, we can see Sinner sacrifices in the pudding buildings being taken by the respective teams. No invade this time, since the momentum of Buff Enjoyers was shut down on that last push mid.
And yet that last Guardian, like you mentioned, pretty important. For those on Buff Enjoyers a bit more flush with souls, it's definitely going to be annoying, but again, still got a bit of inventory space that it shouldn't constrict them right now. They do eventually need to make a play for that Guardian. Buffs are up, of course. That's going to be challenged here. Jamside goes in. Looks like he's picked it up. Hoot now needs to back away. Pretty flush with souls as well this Holiday, with a pretty standard opening to the build. Not really giving anything away about the later game intentions of Hoot. Hyper Beam, though, is going to make this one tough. Tass has got a nice little vantage point to spread some damage in. Obviously, that urn is going to be heavily scrutinized now as the most important objective in this phase of the game. Sharik picks it up at the cost of 40% of the Page's health.
Also, we're seeing Abrahams go for a push in this right lane. Walker. Only one player to defend against. It's going to be Listic, who's just already low on HP. He knows that if he gets comboed, he's going to die. So the reinforcement's going to approach with Zergy. Just going to back him up here while the urn's still being held by Shard to deny that away from Abrahams to get any sort of lead. And honestly, if you're buff enjoyers here, you kind of want to actually go for a big push on this right-hand side. Maybe get the urn turn in. Maybe get that last Guardian done as well.
No Warpstone yet. Saint not able to find a catch, but this does allow Abrahams to push the line of scrimmage up past that urn turning location. Buff enjoyers are going to have to do more to have a safe landing spot for that objective, and that burn damage is probably yeah, okay, urn has to get dropped there. That's fair enough, because that starts to become a bit of an issue. Over on the left here, a drift for Abrahams. They might hope to trade Walker here for an urn if things don't go right for them on the right side of the map. They've only got 4 players in position there towards the right, and the urn is being dropped and picked up consecutively.
That's the risky point, is that if you do go for anything on this right-hand side with this urn and you lose the fight, you're losing a Walker, most likely losing the urn, and you're losing a lot of control of this game too. I think maybe a teleport going to come in out of together to join this fight as the urn has been stolen away by Saint, who's just trying to run for his life. But keep in mind, he is a lot slower considering the change. But the doorman sets him up perfectly for a turn in. Saf, the teammate of the year award, going to him.
Damn, I mean, we know that Doorman very effective with setting up for those objectives, but the fact that Saint can cross so much of the map, and also buff enjoyers cannot extract any value elsewhere in this exchange. They're doing nothing but clearing their own camps. So Abraham slipped the net and now get themselves up to a 5k soul differential. There's that extra flex slot, though. Finally, the last Guardian of Abraham's is taken by buff enjoyers, but they probably still have a bit of a sour taste in their mouth after that urn turn in.
Deliciously sour taste. If it was a bag of trolleys, to be fair.
That's facts.
That's facts. But yeah, I mean, Abrahams, this is a much different game for them this time around. I mean, the rotations on towards these Guardians, the counter pressure as well. They have themselves a nice little 5k lead, but it's about what can they do with this 5k lead that's going to really determine how this game can play out. And quickly taking a look at Souls, I mean, Listic, honestly not too far behind compared to his team. On the other side, it's pretty much Jamside and ABL going to be leading the charge at 12k, but a great combo comes in onto Hoot, and you should not be able to escape from this one as the jump pad comes through, and somehow, what happened? ABL, he didn't get launched.
Dimov to the rescue. He just pops in at just the right time, and of course, dumps the affliction. And Hoot is not able to be taken out. That combo looked like it would secure the kill, but there wasn't enough damage there. That's not ideal for Abraham. It's not the worst. It's a bit of a gaff, if anything. ABL back in a few seconds. And buff enjoyers looks like they're really just trying to farm safely in this phase of the game. Dimov is getting that soul prio, Jason, as we sort of expected, though Obicum not having too much fun on in towards him. So that pocket turning up in that 2v2, pretty impactful. That is the big brother on your team making use of that soul lead.
Yeah, and honestly, like Majestic Leap again, just as we talked about before, like both these teams are so good at just delaying their death as long as possible to buy time for those rotations to come through. And when you can do something like that, as we talk about movement being probably the biggest skill that you want to focus on and learn as a player, is the last gonna connect on the Mo and Curl. He's a big bulky boy. Can't dodge away from lassos.
I think Dimov's here. There's definitely some pressure, however. Yeah, ABL does not want to allow the Moan Crawl to be nabbed out from under his nose. Could have been a pick off there. Buff enjoys trying with these initiators to set up pick opportunities, but both teams struggling with landing them in the end. Baggage cart going to be avoided here as Power Slash on the back foot employed by Listic will avoid Saf for now. And I'm still looking at that left side. I've got a feeling there's something brewing there. Abrahams keeps sending 2 players, including together, to shove the wave in, to put that pressure. But honestly, Zergy just kind of gets to farm that passively a lot of the time. He has to feel, though, Jason, that he's needed elsewhere. Looks like he's sitting back for a buy. So curious to see what makes its way into the inventory now. Starting to, you know, if he's going to just build pure gun from the outset, it could be a power spy.
Oh, I mean, you know he is. It's Zergy, right? He's going to definitely build gun. But the thing is that there is an upside for him. As long as he's defending these 2-man pushes, he's also getting a lot of solo farm, whereas Abrahams have to split between 2 players. So it gives you like a bigger advantage in the long run of this game. And on Obicam, he's going to be under pressure from 3 different players. It's comboed out of the fight, but the stop will save him. That Walker is based.
Bro, he did his reactive barrier, dude. Like, he doesn't take any damage from the combo itself. He's able to walk away, but this walker's being scrutinized heavily now, and Buff and Joyce need to intervene. From the shadows Return of Shadows rather being employed now as we see the Calico looking to come forward. Together thought about it, but they're happy enough with the walker. Elsewhere, Buff and Joyce need to make something happen here. An earn pickup is fine, but it probably doesn't feel like it's an equivalent exchange, and there's no guarantee they'll get the turn in because the turn in location is deep right now in Abraham's territory.
A little bit of a line of scrimmage being set up between the two players. A great timing to pull off a pick too, considering combos on cooldown. This would be the ideal time to go for a fight, but you don't have Affliction either. That's the kind of maybe the counterpoint for Buffinger is not feeling confident enough to go for this one. They still have to worry about the doorman. He's just going to cart. Oh my God, he carts Zergy completely off the buildings, forcing him to play from the low ground. But the fight has kicked off, and Huda has gone deep on this left-hand side.
We've already seen a hyper beam there from Taz. That looks like it was avoided for the most part by Buff and Joyce. This is the doorman set up those scary. Sharik trying to bait it out, and looks like that has worked. Captivating Re going to be thrown down to disrupt here. Rally in charge also thrown out. Sharik keeping a respectful distance and I guess employing all of the utility that Paige has at her disposal. Looking for a shield now as well. Okay, Dangerous together has been taken down. ABL with an earn pickup, turn in, it's there. ABL gets it in. And Buff and Joyce are too late for this. Also, they can't really fight for it. Listic's low. Oberkin went for a Stone Idol disruption, and Sharik was the one caught inside the Baroness Hotel, who now is going to die. Buff and Joyce not only lose the fight, but another earn turn in, and Abraham's now having 19k soul lead at 17 minutes.
Abraham's won that fight without even jam side there. He was pushing the right-hand lane for a walker. A big Affliction comes in if they can maybe turn this one around and equalize the damage just a little bit. But they still have to pick up another kill or two to make this one viable. They did lose that walker on the right-hand side. They lost the earn. But they don't want to lose everything here, as you can see Dimov going super deep.
Nice move. Saf is going to be caught. So Buff and Joyce on the backside of that fight find 2 kills. Is there more? Nicely done. Dimov kites away from the concussive combustion with the flying cloak, but still is under pressure. He's taken almost 900 damage from the Infernus, and obviously that will continue to burn down. Nicely done for Sharik, though. Turns up, throws a shield, and so the pocket will walk away. Dimov is going to be so important in this later game, but who quietly, Jason, is amassing quite a trove of souls.
So's Jamside, though. I mean, 21k. We saw Infernus really reign supreme this last weekend in the Trolli NA Open. That I'm not really surprised to see it being given so much value out of teams right now as a high priority pick. He's gone... I mean, he didn't go for Colt, so he's gone a little bit different than what North America has done, to be fair, with like the quote-unquote solved Infernus build. But you still have Tesla, which will eventually...
All right, looks like we've lost Jason for a moment there. Back into the action we are, of course, and casting your eye over some of these stats shows that Dimov's definitely been picking up his fair share of eliminations. Zergy trying to quietly farm. He's not able to do that for much longer here. Going to be accosted and doesn't really have that soul total. And again, he's just not involved in a lot of the engagements. That wasn't an issue for him last game, though. He was able to get to 40k souls despite having to properly fight. See bomb here. Saf very low. Taz also, gets picked off. There's Abraham's just get the doorman a little bit too close to harm's reach, apparently. Oberkin looking to get involved now. A lot of action here around this middle part of the map. Saf surely is going to go down. Listic is on the hunt, on the chase, trying to drop down the line. Big damage to that burn from Jamside is going to connect. Jamside super relevant here in the mid game as opposed to really only a late game threat. 23k souls, as Jason did diligently point out, really matters at this point in the game. Just a slap fight there between Sharik and the Calico, as it looks like Sharik, of course, is not going to win those. Calico geared to have a very strong melee stats and on-hit effects. And ABL's going to jump inside the pudding building now. Dima wants to catch her up on top of the roof. I don't know if he can find her. There are some Abraham's players lurking there on that low ground, as well as Hoot getting picked off. Healing right, of course, for Together to keep him in the fight, but I don't know if there's much more to be done. Abraham's looks like they've achieved their objective, and mid-boss is now on the table.
Yeah, I think it's like Abraham's are doing exactly what Buff and Joyce did to them before. They're getting constant pickoffs. They're now forcing the pace of the game, bringing in Jamside to go for these fights. As you saw the damage he was able to do, Listic just burning away. It was only at 14,000 souls. He's 10k behind Jamside. Like, that's how far Jamside is currently ahead of some of the opponents in the other team. Even using Veilwalker there to maybe go for a parry to stop anyone from coming through. And this is a big turnaround here for Abraham's, really bouncing back from that last match. 18,000 soul lead almost 20 minutes in. And with Rejuve, there's only one walker left to take here, Uber, and that would be another flex thought and a lot of control in the enemy jungle that they can take.
Sorry, let me fanboy real quick. The legend Freiberg is in the chat. Of course, of NIP fame in Counter-Strike. Great to see you, mate. Glad you're a Deadlock enjoyer. I hope you enjoy your time here. That is awesome.
He's been playing a lot of Deadlock on his stream, actually. I've been checking out him every once in a while.
Love to hear that. Yeah, he's made it clear he's a Deadlock enjoyer up in the chat.
On his Instagram, he can cook, man. Cook some really good looking stuff. I need to like go to his place someday and have him cook for me.
God damn. But you know him like that, bro?
I mean, bro, I can't see
you try to know him like that.
NIB.
You know? Man, I remember the old EMS 1 days, man. Good times. All right, let's get with it. 20k is the difference here in souls. 3 rejuve credits here for Abrahams. We might finally be getting the game 3 that we were hoping for. Already, our doors are being set up. So once again, we saw how difficult it is to interact with the earn turn in. It's going to be the same problem for Buff Enjoys again, with Saf setting these doors up to interfere. And also to set up an easy earn turn in here from long range. Together can sort of step through here and try and sneak this one in under the Buff Enjoy's nose.
That was a lasso dodge, by the way, as he like went to the door and came back. But a very good point. The thing is, like, you see the earn this far away, and you don't expect the earn to just show up at the turn in. You expect to have more time, as we do actually see they go through the door. The earn left behind because they want to force the fight. In the meantime, Tassa trying to chase it down. They pull Listic through the door, completely out of position. If the entire team of Abrahams turns around, Listic's gonna die.
Bro, he just I mean, sure. In shadow form, though, he's shrugging off a lot of this damage and still popped a rejuve credit up together. He does go down, so pull through the door. Pretty nasty work. And ultimately, going the 1-for-1 is not worth it for Buff Enjoyers here. This is now going to be less of a contested earn turn in. Clearly, though, still Buff Enjoyers want to say something about it. That's going to be the soul in turn in now. Dragon content over towards the door direction, but Hoot is picked off. Saf connects, and Buff Enjoyers are taking the back seat here, Jason. There's not a lot to be done. Oh, gets a risky zipline take there for Zergi. Stunned out, but together can only plink away with the gun. Either way, message sent and delivered, Jason. Abrahams are taking control of the game.
Task up the earn turn in while that was happening too. This lead is getting kind of out of hand now for Abrahams, playing from ahead instead of playing from behind that last match where they really couldn't get any sort of semblance of control. A burst fire picked up here for Saf. The extra speed to get around the map here, and that's gonna be a great combo on a Demov. He's gonna get rescue beamed while flighted away, but he pulls the Moen with him. He went fishing and he caught himself a Moen Krill.
Yeah, it was Moen Krill or Moby Dick. We're about to find out. Captain Ahab here, trying to right the ship that threatens to be capsized for Buff Enjoyers. Sharik's out of the game. Listic very, very low. And Overkim doesn't want any of this smoke, but doesn't really have an option. As Saf is in hot pursuit, the chase there comes in from the Calico, and that is going to be the Walker taken down. No more Walkers left for Buff Enjoyers. Only 3 players in the game right now. And this time around, Abrahams have been able to sniff out their game plan and snuff out their individuals.
2 rejuve crystals left for another 40 seconds of time. Only 3 players left to fight up against, and Demov, oh my god, he almost got hooked back in. As the door is going to allow him to attack from a different angle, not really expecting, pops a bomb onto his teammate of Jamside, says, you go forward, you get these kills, and someone's been thrown into the Baroness Hotel. It's going to be Hoot. He's going to come out with a cheeky surprise.
Oh, yeah. That's not what you want to see on the other side of that door. Shrines are getting picked off. We're 23 minutes into the game, and Abrahams have an unassailable lead at this point. Now it's a matter of getting your free souls. Base Guardian's being cleared. Jamside knows he will die for this, but Abrahams coming back in on zipline boosts. They want to make sure that their low-health teammates can't be chased out of the base. And so the Sapphire side keeps the pressure on. Saf eventually falls, but Buff Enjoyers are down to 4 right now. There's a real fight to be had now amidst the Kutsu Bomb AoE. Captivating Reed does at least seem to catch out one of those individuals, but Listic surges forward to get us picked off. But what do Buff Enjoyers get for this? What can they obtain? There is no rejuve in play. Buffs are a minute off. Mid-boss 90 seconds away. The Buff Enjoyers need to, I don't know, push these waves out, threaten a Walker?
Push waves, get some farm in the jungle. A lot of sinners up on this left-hand side and even right side of the map here for Buff Enjoyers. Also, a very smart play. I don't know if you caught it, but Jam side, he just AFK'd in between those 2 Guardians because he was low on HP anyways, and he wanted the full health for the fight because Rejuve was about to disappear anyways. So might as well get a free heal off of it while it's getting yourself killed. Very smart play, very heads-up play, to be honest. But I heard a combo go off. I'm not sure who it's quite onto as the shout transformation comes out of Listic, who's always so low on health, but he gets himself back up to 300 HP with the Crimson Slash. And look at the barriers he has, about 600 HP in barriers as he continues to fight.
That rescue beam also applied to him there despite the silence wave being in play. Listic got his job done, but Jamside is going to return with the capacitor and leash. He is absolutely armed to the gills, and he's made short work of Listic as a result. Overkim run down. Saints able to finish him off, and now head downstairs to make a buy. He's got a lot of souls in hand, and he's going to convert them into a divine barrier. Abrahams have been able to convert that map control advantage into some serious items, and they still don't lose that Walker. There's an urn turning to fight for. A mid-boss in 30 seconds. Buff Enjoyers have the deck stacked against them.
This urn, though, it's also a denial take. Realistically, I don't know if they're going to be trying to go for it. I mean, they do have a window of about 30 seconds. But if you get in a fight here and you lose, then you also could be losing mid-boss. I guess because the door is being set up by Saf right now, you can see him running over towards the urn turn-in. They're going to quickly go for the dunk on this and then turn back in towards a mid-boss take. I don't think there's any expectation of Buff Enjoyers for the urn to just appear here. And they're going to get away for free right off the back of that.
I mean, Buff Enjoyers poke at the urn turning attempt, but they have no way of interrupting it. So this is just more souls and more of a lead. Saint just bought and already has 2.2k. And yeah, Sinners are going to be taken deep in Buff Enjoyers territory. Taz going to avail himself of these camps. Stay ahead. Mid-boss now is up. You can head over in that direction. Rather, will be soon. So that's something obviously we're playing for. Buffs are already obtained, as you can see, in the hands of Taz. And this is now Abraham's just ensuring their victory.
So if we're going to talk about this from the comeback potential for Buff Enjoyers, I mean, Glass Cannon picked up for Zergy here. I mean, it's going to be very difficult for you to get stacks on that for it to become worth it for you. But for them, I mean, I think the problem is that because they're so far behind of about 40k right now, you can't really split up and go for farm easily. You're not going to be confident enough to do so. If you do that and you get killed, you have a 6 on 5 and you're still over 40k behind at that point in a fight. This is going to be very tough. And Abraham's, honestly, I think everything is going their way for them to close out this map and take it to a map 3 for sure. It's just about not making mistakes.
Sorry about that. Our mid-boss timer was off by 1 minute. That is all. That though, we have now seen a mid-boss spawn back in. What's the supply drop angle supposed to be here for Overkin because he's just getting strips torn off him. Listic following hot on his heels. Shadow transformation popped. He feels like he's going to need it here. Saint hasn't used the combo yet though, so he's just drawn that Yamato ultimate out. Oh, Listic really wants to fight. Saint almost ceased to exist there. Big damage, but that Shadow form is now expired. Now those resistances for Listic won't be as much of a factor. Knockdown, big concussive combustion. Jamside erupts onto the scene and Dimov blows up. Hyper beam comes through, cutting Listic down. Sharik soon to follow. And Buff Enjoyers got caught out in the open with mid-boss on the table now. This is all but done. You can turn around, have the mid-boss for yourself. Half your team can also contest at the base. This is brutal. I think Abraham's might look just to end here, Jason.
Finish. Yeah, I mean, you already got the stage 1 patron, I believe, right? So you can just finish this game. No, they didn't get it yet, but even with the respawners being taken away, the 30 seconds of time, you're still going to be able to close this out with only 1 player left to defend against it. And Mitch, we're going to for sure see a map 3 here.
That is wild. 27 minutes of gameplay. You saw the plated armor being picked up by Jamside, who's got himself up to 40k souls. He's reached his endgame fantasy. Hoot gets comboed as soon as he tries to step out of spawn. And here it is, the patron knocked into the pit. We have ourselves a game 3. Finally, after a couple weeks of sweeps, Abrahams have shown that grit and will take us all the way in this series.
You know, I think we could sense it coming with the draft Buff Enjoyers went for. But honestly, a massive bounce back for Abrahams. I know they've been a team who's been very susceptible to getting tilted, I would say. I mean, we've seen it initially back with the well-playeds on one-win squad with ABL. But I think a very important game for them to show that they can have like a really bad loss against a comp that they probably shouldn't be looking to in the first game and come back into match 2 refreshed and ready to go and focus because they're going to need that focus coming into the weekend.
That's a great point, Jason. Of course, one of the biggest tournaments in the calendar, one of the biggest tournaments ever in Deadlock history is, of course, coming up this weekend. And these two teams are undeniably the favorites to be in that grand final, to be playing for that grand prize. So there's something to be said for, you know, holding something back. I just don't think Abrahams are in a position to do that. I think they have to play hard for this win. And they did just that in the second match. Like, this is a much more clinical game. I think they were a lot more patient, even with the Walker lead. Like, we've seen how good Buff Enjoyers are at bringing those comebacks, and they couldn't find it this game.
I feel like the big difference for me is the Shiv pick. They denied it from Buff Enjoyers, and Buff Enjoyers don't have, I think, that same level of, alongside the Billy, right? They don't have that sort of scaling, sort of beefy bruiser potential into the later game. See it listing on the Yamato, which is, of course, always terrifying, but there are ways to stop Yamato. You know, not only do you want to bait out the Shadow transformation if you can, but you can also sort of itemize a little bit more into shutting her down. Jamside also got online really early. I think at some point, Jamside's at 23k with the rest of Buff Enjoyers at like 18. Like that's almost an entire tier 4 item. And also like Jamside was just in the right place at the right time to be able to be impactful. 27k souls here is huge. The fact that he has the wherewithal to go and pick up a plated armor at like 24 minutes into the game should tell you everything you need to know about, you know, where Jamside is in the grand scheme of things. Gets to 40k at the end here, but this is a really nice showing from the Infernus.
You brought up a good point too that I wanted to actually go back to about like Listic on the Yamato, but you don't have like a Shiv by her side. You don't have someone else who can be bruisery and take this upfront damage. When Listic goes in, he kind of just gets focused and he can't really survive all that damage coming his way, especially when they were already 15, 20, 30k behind at that point. But taking a look at the match stats, I mean, looking across the board here, Dimov wasn't really able to get going, though. He had 28,000 damage done. And if you compare like Hoot and Zergy from the last game, I mean, it pales in comparison to the amount of damage they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, Dimov was supposed to be that primary soul recipient, right? But Buff and Joyce did not have the map control. They lost out on the objective race. You can see here down the bottom that Dimov doesn't have neutral camps to farm sufficiently. So the build, as a result, looks average. Like there's a refresher pickup here, right? I kind of get it. You want to, get multiple of those afflictions down.
That was just the very end of the game. Let's be fair about that one. But there was no hopes at the end of that one for him. But I mean, as you said, Jam side 40,000 souls, 6-0 and 11. He was a part of 16 out of their 26 kills. Sorry, 17 if I could do math correctly. A massive change around. But I think maybe the real focus here, Jake, is ABL kind of, because as you can see, he was part of 17 assists, 29,000, almost 30,000 player damage, did a ton of objective damage. He was that silent threat for the majority of the game.
Yeah, very solid game from him. And I liked you highlighted that itemization from Jan's side. I mean, building super tanky, super high utility on Infernus this game. The plated armor, a great way to punish this like all-in gun idea of, these glass cannons. Well, hey, the plated armor sometimes can just like deflect some of those hits and just, you take no damage whatsoever. So they're really struggling to bring down Jam side. I also think Saint on the Mo Krill was a pretty big factor this game. Like there's a lot of moments where the Buff Enjoyers just a little bit scared to come out on the map. Like they're holding urns for quite a while, but they can't quite really get the drop in. And I think Abraham's got a lot of the better of those urn fights in large part due to the impact of Mo and also Doorman. I mean, the synergy between the two of them, getting those urn turn-ins, so challenging to play against, even in hostile territory at times. So the execution really impressed me on Abraham's. That being said, the series is still 1-1. I mean, this is still a scary spot to be, given the Buff Enjoyers are kind of doing some wild drafting right now.
Yeah. I wonder if we see a return to normality here for Buff Enjoyers, at least maybe not going for the Paradox Holiday, like 1-2 pick, maybe something a little different. Maybe the page doesn't need to be there. We'll see. I think they might just stay the course here. This is still $1,000 on the line, thanks to our friends over at Intel. It's definitely no small amount of change. I'm sure they want to fight for it, but I'm curious to see how they intend to do that, how they stake their claim to the throne for, God, the umpteenth week in a row.
Yeah, and honestly, would you want to see them return to quote unquote normality, or would you like to see them potentially pull off a win in night shift with a Page Holiday Paradox as their first 3 picks, 3 games in a row? I think that kind of sets the tone and shows they're not really afraid of any team out there in EU when it comes to the event this weekend.
Yeah, it's definitely a statement that they would want to make here to assert their dominance in EU. Although, of course, I think the Buff Enjoyers at this point, they're not really accepting any challengers to the throne. They're not interested in any questions or opinions. They are here to play in that tournament. So make sure you join us this weekend. But of course, our show, we're just getting started here. We're coming to that resolution here of the money match. It's tied up 1-1. We got to finish that best of 3, and we'll be doing that just on the other side of a short break. Welcome back, everybody. It's time. We're here at the conclusion here of the money match between Abrahams and Buff Enjoyers. Buff Enjoyers opened the series to a dominant 1-0 lead with an unconventional draft, but Abrahams circled the wagons, made the adjustments, and came back just as strong to equalize the series. Now we're going into a decisive game 3 between two teams who very much want the win, although I gotta say, I think Abrahams, they want it just a little bit more this week.
Especially after the audacious way that the Buff Enjoyers have been approaching this series, Jake. I think that is spot on. What I like about what we saw from Abrahams is it was only a slight tweak in their drafting approach in that second game, but the execution looks so much cleaner. More of an understanding of where they're at their strongest and where they definitely have the edge of a Buff Enjoyers across the map. Turn it into a macro advantage and basically had every turn in dead to rights because of their Doorman and Mo and Krill look, which is obviously a hero that made their way into that second draft. So curious to see how contested it will be here, Jason.
Is it loser decides who gets first, second pick?
If they want first pick or second pick.
So Buff Enjoyers just gave the first pick back to Abrahams, which in general we've been thinking of as the advantaged pick here. Doing it with the house cash right now, Buff Enjoyers. Send in a message loud and clear to the world, man. This is like This is a tilter if you lose this one from Abraham's. That's for sure.
Yeah, they are conceding first pick. I think is interesting, and they're limit testing obviously this composition, right? Which is it's been fun to watch. We've seen one game where it's worked really well, one game where not so much. I think Abraham's here just continue to full steam ahead. Like get the doorman first pick in and go from there. It's just too good for earn control, man.
Yeah, with Kelvin out, earn dominance.
I know you really want to see this third match, and I think you really want to see how this draft goes. But you know what? I'm a man of the people, and I got to give the chat what they want, because I did make a deal before we went to that last game. If we get above 1350 and not above 1400, I'll show the pants that I'm wearing.
Let's see the pants.
I don't know if production has the technology to keep the draft going, but go back to me.
Wide.
He's asking for a solo cam right now.
You know what? Let's give me that solo cam. And let's give the people what they want, if it's possible.
Is there even a full cam with a solo cam with the draft, like the whitest white?
I don't think we have that scene built. Oh my god.
We can do that. We can do that. All right. So the cord's not that long, but we'll make it work. You ready?
We're losing screen real estate. Get up there.
So you need a monster.
Oh my god.
What is that? Okay.
All right, that's fire. I put some respect on that.
Low key? Yeah, I thought I had nice shorts on.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fluffy pants that is cold here in Italy. You got what you wanted. I hope it's what you expected, chat.
That's better than I expected. Let's be honest.
Okay, that's pretty good. I was hoping to see some more quad definition though, big son. What's that about?
Bro, you've been to the gym with me. You know I ain't got any quad definition. You kidding me?
Show me that head separation. Noodles. You know what I'm saying? Just like our trolley mid boss. I want to see it.
All right, Buffingers grabbed the Shiv this time. So, hey, it's not a complete meme, right? If you wanted to just have fun with the series, you just draft the same thing over and over again. This time, like you were saying, I think it was you, Jason, I think, was saying, hey, grabbing the Shiv makes a difference here coming into game 3.
Yeah. They had nothing to pair with the Yamato to be like aggressive in the front line in the last game. And then previously they had that with the Billies. You had Billy Shiv together. This time you're going to have Shiv and probably something like that. But I think what we are seeing, though, it is that return to normality out of Buff Enjoyers that we were maybe hoping to see in this third game. And they had some fun with it, but I think they're like, yeah, okay, we're going to remind you guys, we're going to remind Abraham once again that we're the kings.
No, don't be so sure. They're just upping the pick priority of the Shiv to make sure it doesn't get taken away. They can just circle back and get Holiday later unless it's banned away in this second round, which would be potentially throwing.
True.
They picked up the page here. Like this comp is still looking 3/6, the same as their first game comp. They just make sure they get the Shiv this time around.
And I do think the Page Shiv gives a little bit more of an obvious synergy of this character that wants to get in and go make risky moves for kills and then get bailed out by a Page. Like that rallying charge can really turn the fight around when you think you're going to be able to take down Shiv. And the heal is big, the stun is big, the damage is big, it sets up for these executes. The synergy is there. But I really like that they target the Mo and Krill. I think that was honestly the biggest problem for them last game was the threat of the combo, just keeping Yamato from really unleashing, the kind of havoc that she would like to be able to do.
Yeah. Target the Overkin Vindicta here with the ban. So we won't see any of that
funny.
Sort of.
We had so much like a period of time where Vindicta was just not banned, not picked after we had the changes to her recently, but we saw like over at NA, Aiden show some priority in what she can do. We saw Obikim in the first match. Not to the same extent, but to a decent extent of what she can offer. But to see her go back into the bans, I think shows like a drastic change in the mindset of EU and NA at the moment between how they play the game.
They got the Shiv Billy. Can't they just take Bebop here and have like a legitimate gun carry with hard engage potential? Holiday's legitimate gun carry, I guess. We've seen that be the case, but it feels like it's a bit more natural and also gives you a capacitor carrier. Where Holiday I don't know if normally would sort of go in that direction, but they have the scaling now, like this front line that's really good. They've got some pick, they've got the Page support, so like the mindset of this draft is really the same for Buff Enjoyers. It's just the order they're getting picked up in is a little bit different. The Sinclair for Abrahams looked pretty good early in the game. The Vexing Bolt pressure, also just like the playmaking potential of the Hex. The Rabbit Hex was good. But Hayes finds a way in. Abraham's actually banned Hayes away from presumably Obikim, maybe Zergy in game 2.
Hayes is interesting here. You're a little bit light on hard stuns right now in the Buff Enjoyers comp in terms of something that can interrupt the Hayes' bullet dance. However, I can also see some problems. I think Abraham's have quite the glass cannon of a draft.
The same comp, bro.
Speaking of glass cannon,
they had me in the first half.
Managed to repeat the game 1 draft, but I do think this Hayes, like the Invis ganking Hayes with Sinclair to follow up, Calico kind of scouting around, like this ability for you to kind of appear out of nowhere and just delete Buff and Joyer's heroes. I'd love to see Abraham's close with the pocket if they can get it.
Abrams keeps coming.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, pocket is like godly here. Surely you take pocket, right? For
Yeah.
Abrams, I mean, you got to think like affliction on these big frontliners. It's so good against Shiv. And I would just imagine it's fantastic here. They might also play like a GT, but then Paradox and Holiday can be a real problem for you.
I like the pocket pick a lot. You could also like, do you go back for Bebop here? Yamato.
Okay, they're gonna stand toe to toe rather than trying to like play this kiting game. I mean, okay. I think a lot rides on Yamato being ahead of the game as usual, but in particular in this game with Buff and Joyers, the triple frontliner, Shiv, Billy, Abrams, like that's a pretty scary triplet. But Yamato can kind of scale sometimes at brawling multiple frontliners. Like let them come, let them attempt to take me on, and you just hit this, you know, power level on Yamato at some point where you can just face down the world.
It's a little squishy, right? Calico Yamato as a frontline here. Everyone else is not going to build like all that sort of for sustain, whereas Abrams, Billy, and Shiv are staring down at you on the other side. Plus Page's utility, support utility, the healing, the shield. These guys are really hard to kill. Buff and Joyers have a very, very, very nuggety, tanky composition. Average Jonas, my goat. Good to see you, man. Thank you for the 10 gifted.
Big 10 to Average Jonas. Much love in the chat.
We love our AJ.
If he gave those 10 a little bit earlier on, you might have been safe from having to see my pants. Just saying.
All right, that would have been a tragedy because that TMNT pants that added to the show, especially the
It was fine. Did you need to rub them though? Is the question. The rubbing was like that was the bridge too far for me.
Donatello was asking me, and I was like, you know what, Cowabunga.
There's no better way to say it. It's Mitch and Jason on the mic. You guys take it away. Our decisive game of tonight's EU money match.
Thank you very much, Jake. Yeah, we're jumping in this. I've got an appointment to catch here, so let's hope that this one proceeds quickly. All right, we have the okay. So we already have the setup here with our Sinclair and the Yamato being sort of giving up a bit of space on that bridge early. Of course, you want to get in the face as the Abrams here. So Listic really wants to be aggressive, playing alongside Sharik here. So you're very tanky frontline with that lockdown potential between shoulder charge and that captivating read, but this is a very pokey Abraham's line. You need some pretty good sustain itemization, I suspect, for Buff and Joyers early, not to be forced out of the game.
Bro, someone needs to recruit Listic to play some dodgeball. Just dodging away from those alt fires from together so well. But I do wonder, though, looking at Abraham's comp, what's their catch? And I really hope it's not just Tass on Haze with a Sleep Dagger. Because if he hits a Sleep Dagger, yeah, you do have the ability to quickly catch up and go for some damage. But you don't have a lasso. You don't have a Periscope swap. If you have Tass or Saf, I mean, maybe not Saf or Saint. I guess Saint has this capability. You get Jam Side. I'm like talking myself into a corner here. It's really hard to keep them alive with the amount of damage and amount of CC that Buff and Joyers are going to have. So tanky with the Billy and the Abrams together and the Shiv paired on top. I mean, Yamato, you kind of depend on that Shroud Transformation to get aggressive, but if you get too low, you're going to be finished off by the Shiv.
Jeez, Listic takes so much minion aggro there in the middle part of the lane. Give it a shield there. 200 damage just coming from those creeps. Interestingly enough, still wants to come forward and be disruptive, get involved. You can see across the map, Buff and Joyers these like slightly weaker early lanes. It's definitely being manifested on those health bars up your top left. So keep an eye on that. Gives you a bit of an idea of the balance of power in this early stage of the game. Already also some Guardian damage being taken by Buff and Joyers in the mid and left lanes.
I mean, they're definitely looking...
Good dodge.
I want to say a little bit more focused with the comp than to going with like Listic on Abrams. It does get more compy than seeing that, to be perfectly honest. But Obi Kim on the Billy, I think, is the interesting part. I don't know if we've called that out necessarily because it's not really a support-esque kind of hero, but they need someone to run it.
No doubt about it. This comp is not amazing into the shoulder charge unless you can land that captivating read. Listic has to pick up extra regen first, which is not, I'd say, all that abnormal.
Yeah.
You know, as Abrams especially, very, very reasonable, but still, sustain very important as they're getting poked down consistently in that lane. Clearly, Tass having the same issue. Ian Sapphire, well, looking a little bit worse aware as another carbine shot whistles past Tass's right ear. Now they're just trying to farm and secure those orbs as safely as possible. Sharik is last hitting my goat. Yeah, it's pretty hard, isn't it, to deny? It is a little tricky, especially with this kind of wave pressure coming in. But still, it's all about trying to stay in the game as long as you possibly can in terms of that soul difference. And there's already a Guardian Ward going into the inventory as expected of that page.
And the thing is, on this right lane, if you're buff enjoyers, I don't think you're trying to win the lane. You're just trying to survive the lane, because there's no real way you're going to get kills in this lane at the moment with the ability of like the Hex. If you ever do get aggressive with a shoulder charge, even if the captivating read does land, and Obicam, he's going to be the first casualty of the game here on this left-hand side. I think more so you want to see the Shiv and Billy with Demov and Obicam get aggressive against how potentially squishy Jamside could be. I think it's a little bit hard to lock down ABL since he does have Enter the Shadows, but that's only a get me out of jail card once every so often.
I mean, you say that, but it's also a big part of the offensive kit. As soon as you hit that 3.6k, sometimes we just see the leap forward, the damage off some of your like melee items you picked up early, and then Return of Shadows for the extra bit of burst damage. So on both sides of that coin, it's a pretty effective ability to have at your disposal. Looking at the minimap, I just saw Listic really shoving forward, like at relatively low health, but just relying on Abrams' innate sustain to continue being an absolute nuisance. ABL, those gloom bombs, a little bit hard to hit at the best of times, even with their radius increased. Dimov sees them whistle overhead.
Resto shot. Sorry, that's Mystic shot. Resto shot and extra regen here for Listic, who really wants to survive this lane. He's out surviving together, who's solo on HP. The captivating read did not quite catch. But now, I mean, with the extra regen items and the extra healing from just the time he bought, allowed them to fight back here in this lane. And I mean, we're pretty much even in souls in that lane as well, which could be very bad now with Together, who has low HP and only Resto shot to keep him alive.
I mean, if there's not a Guardian Ward bought early by the Sinclair, that's kill. 100%. So this is nice. I mean, Listic is really getting value. I mean, this is one of your... I mean, if you want to watch an Abrams player and learn how best to do it, he's the guy you want to look at. Jamside's in deep trouble. Of course, the ultimate online for Dimov sets up the kill on the Jamside. It was very, very low after the fact, whereas Dimov is absolutely chilling. So finally, a bit of revenge in that left side lane, but it's been at the cost of about, I don't know, 75%, 60% of that Guardian health. So that's something you've got to keep an eye on. Abrahams have been winning that war of attrition despite losing a player on the left.
Not sure if he caught that Saf. He went to go get the buff on the left-hand side, which ended up being movement, and he shot Demov to get rid of his healing right. Very, very like small little thing. I mean, to be fair, Demov is still extremely high in HP, so it doesn't really matter in the long run, but this little small adaptation as the audience participation coming through at a Saint just to back away. I mean, Together, again, he's still about half HP. He has to take a lot more time to heal up here, and with the bullet armor picked up for Listic, he wants to get in the face. He wants to force out a fight here, and that shoulder charge still on too long of a cooldown to actually engage on as a flying strike comes through.
Yeah, okay, here's the chase. Shadow form active for the next couple of moments. Listic, though, hasn't taken enough damage for Together to have a shot at a kill. And I like you bring that up about healing right, because a lot of people overlook that fact. You can cancel it entirely if you take any sort of damage from any players, also objective. So do not walk under a tower with that. You will lose much of that healing duration. So ultimates exchange on the left-hand side. Saint and Together both making use of them and not getting value there in that lane. That's a pretty good sign for buff enjoyers now, as they've done well at eking out these souls. Also, Obicam up to 4.9. Dimov's where he needs to be as well at 5.2. Luggage card catches Zergy. Looks like he might have caught the Carbine on and leaves Hoot free to try and get some extra damage in. You notice that none of those Initiator ultimates are available right now.
You know, Haze and Doorman together. I guess you can hit like a Sleep Dagger from an awkward position. Oh, the melee onto a parry onto Jamside there.
Let's do something careful.
Together.
Oh, he needs a longer fight. There's too much burst. Oh, parry! Fade away! Surely. Okay, Saint goes in. Now, exposes himself a little bit, but what are you going to do with your page? You're not going to do any damage. So getting rid of the Abrams there is the most important part. He's built to be the raid boss in that lane. So he's going to be able to walk away, but Hoot's not quite as lucky. So the double initiator set up in mid are getting clapped now, and they're going to lose their Guardian.
That's going to be the second Guardian of the game taken now for Abrahams, and the right one's not looking too healthy either, so Flex slot potentially opened up momentarily. As Listic, even with the melee lifesteal on top of this, if he didn't have healing as it was before, I feel like you can't move him out of lane. He's the immovable object now on this right-hand side, and they're going to need it if Buffingers want to keep this Flex slot out of hands and out of reach of Abrahams. As the fight's breaking on this left-hand side, as Hoot's rotated on over, but so is Tass.
Yeah, it's getting messy here. Gus Combustion made use of there. Jamside's still going to go down. Dimov has a lot of souls, and he made use of that ultimate to guarantee the execution. Taz here can't really fight 2 versus 3. He kind of knows it. Dimov, though, is hunting for that kill on ABL, and I see that health bar drip down. Yep, nothing much could be done. Obicam picked off, though. So ABL does need to go for this to be a favorable trade for buff enjoyers. Don't know if they're going to get that kill. Battle Vest being abused here, of course, by the very sustained heavy Abrams. That extra damage and fire rate matters quite a lot in this kind of situation, but audience participation will allow Saint to keep that arm's length away from the Abrams. Even though he eats a Crimson Slash now together, wants a little bit of extra damage. Healing Right will be used, though, by Listic, and he'll be able to benefit from a bit of it.
Oh, they're trying to steal Puddin.
Yeah,
And the door, it's still going to be there. And
dangerous. Saf
might
has to dance
saved
this. Call bell thrown in. Now, do you have the time to get the full? Do you have the time to get the +3 off this? Okay. Oh, no. Nice from Overkim. His ultimate too. Chain gang available. The door is closed behind him though, so he has to make something happen here. Is this possible? Yes. Oh my goodness. Task caught out. Hoot to the rescue. He got involved. Overkim said, "Stuff this. I am taking this fight straight through the door, straight with that 4 ability." And they get the pick off on the Haze. Now looking over towards that mid guardian. ABL tries to get involved, not realizing Overkim might have been descending on him very rapidly. ABL trying to dance this. Return of Shadow is going to be used. This will be respected by Overkim. Slide back, but elsewhere. See, overhead, ABL tries to go for his lane mate in that Holiday. Saf is down. Who got the pick up in the end? And there was nothing that ABL could do about it.
Man, it's so scary to go through doors when you're not necessarily sure where it's going to be. Especially in like the heat of the moment right there. You kind of have to like figure out where am I going to be going if I enter this and how quickly could my teammates back me up. And they did exactly that to turn that fight in their favor and keeping their Puddin alive. As we talked about in match 1 and 2, there's been a lot of investment and a lot of focus in that in terms of the micro plays and adaptations teams have been using to get those small and eventually big leads.
Who gets picked off? They might have overstayed. Good parry there though from Task, carrying a bit of a bag, so needs to be a little careful. Looks like a trip to the Baroness Hotel has been earned by Zergy. They're going to pop out and find themselves in a rather compromising position instantly. Paradoxical swap there was used desperately to no effect.
Big bag drop too.
Yeah, and we're buying through it all now. Swift Striker slowing Hex, so those key support items starting to make their way into the inventory for Taz.
Yeah, so going the support haze or the utility haze, which we didn't see much of when it came to NA.
Is it though? Just because you have a slowing Hex? I feel like you've got that Swift Striker, right? So you still, you know, like you're investing in that fire rate, which you do want for the application of the fixation.
I think at the moment, yes, though I'm totally open to being proved wrong. I think if you see like Surge of Power picked up by a haze, that's going to be more towards, okay, it's going to be a DPS carry kind of haze. I mean, the slowing Hex, it does work really well against like Abrams, for instance. It stops
anyone you're trying to
that shoulder charge. Right? That too, but like the movement abilities, like a shoulder charge to get you away from a team. You can shut down the dash out of Shiv as well. It prevents you from being able to use that. I think the rushing ram audibility for Overkim.
See that slowing Hex. Fixation stacks being applied. A lot of bleed. Oh, there's no way you're getting out of this, Overkim. Oh, what a charge! Rising ram catches Taz, but they needed just a little bit more than that. This is a free earn turn, and Buffenjoys are milling about on the left-hand side of the map. They've missed out on that objective because they were hoping maybe to come in and punish this fight. Taz, though, under smoke bomb, is going to slip straight past Listic's Abrams.
Listic gets the Guardian, just backdoors it, and ABL's not going to be so lucky. He'll still fall, and so will Jamside, actually. Listic gets a catch onto him with a shoulder charge, and just like that, honestly, is looking really bad for Buffenjoys, losing the urn and losing a couple of players. He's getting 2 kills back and a Guardian. Keeps things a little bit equal here. Only a 3K difference now between the two teams. And I think what's something we have to acknowledge here is that Dimov, he's been left to farm quite a bit here.
He already has that. Yeah, I think he just picked up that Spirit Snatch. So is looking very, very dangerous. 11k souls. And we know exactly what the Shiv can do when he gets ahead. That killing blow starts to look pretty terrifying. So eyes peeled for more Dimov involvements in some of these fights. Also Zergy, I mean, happy enough to beat 11k here. Definitely like keeping pace with Jamside as Paradox is going to be pretty important. Left to his own devices to farm is exactly where he wants to be. What's happening here? Listic might have been caught. So shield given over by Sharik. Can Listic walk away? The answer is yes, but somehow Dimov finds himself amidst much of this. So Buffenjoys might try and pivot into an aggressive stance.
Just trying to position around Dimov to reinforce him when he gets out of the hotel. No late checkout fees for him this time as rotations coming out of Buffenjoys to look to catch out Saint here on the Sinclair. And I believe his Spectral Assistant was already used, so there's no real chance to go for a clean escape here. I think he gets Seismic Impact on top of it, but no, he steals away Seismic Impact and uses it for the escape. Really well done by Saint.
Then I said, we heard the sound cue and I looked at the minimap and then I saw the Sinclair's icon to zip forward. So we knew what happened there. Last Guardian on the table now for Buffenjoys. I want that flex slot open here. Through the door we go. We're caught inside the chain gang. Under the safety, though, of the Walker is where Saf is able to get. So dissuades that level of aggression, but a Shadow Transformation comes in. Looks like Abraham still want to stake their claim to this fight. Another slam. This time Dimov doesn't want to be denied. Ducks around the corner. Where is that Shiv is the question. He is close by, ready to leverage those 11k souls to some level of effect. Saf being careful, dancing the door. Dimov steps forward, but doesn't want to charge into the Walker's domain. Now all back away. Baggage car collects him up, takes him up against the wall. Captivating Reed, though, will shut down the chase.
You know, I got to give credit to Shark. Like, the captivating reads have been really good. I mean, there you don't see him catch anyone, but the space he creates and like the zone of denial he creates for Dimov to escape, it was really well done. The Abrahams can't afford to go for the chase. They have to back off instead. We haven't really seen much Page over in EU. We've seen a little bit over in North America, thinking of like hydration in particular on Sneaky Golem. But it's great to see that like Shark clearly been practicing it, and like there is a world where she can be viable in a team.
Tesla bullets, Titanic magazine, Swift Striker here for Jam side. That fire rate and bullet capacity really getting online. Also like the warp here to make sure those concussive combustions really get to where they need to be. Well, that's tough there. Looks like Hoot was trying to defend that left side Walker and overextended a little bit. The rest of Buff and Joys have 3 players close by, but not close enough to really assist at all. Maybe looking for a lasso. It's unclear. Also, Solo is listic around mid here and doesn't really want to linger too long. Doors are being set up.
I think it's for the buffs at the moment, since they're spawning up in about 20 seconds. And of course, the Urn on top of that. And Listic getting a lot of information here, looking for a potential charge to it. The Warp Stone catches up together and separates him from his team. And now he's like, okay, I got to get out of here. I got to buy time for the reinforcements to help me out. All the lifesteal in the world is not going to matter. He has no teammates to back him up.
Shriek's
The
there.
buffs are about to spawn.
Guardian will be given over. God, that bloody Sinclair poke is insane. I think 550 damage hit there. Now, though, the rest of Buff and Joys are here. Listic has been able to buy some time. Everyone's looking over towards that right-hand side of the map, of course. It is an Urn Fiesta over there. Everyone's sort of grouped up.
Pulse grenade.
Zergy, yeah, okay. Going to try and throw the pulse grenade in, maybe try and wrap around. The door is in place, so how are Buff and Joys supposed to contest this? It's going to be picked up and stolen away. Door shut as well. Okay, I think Hoot found himself on the wrong side of that doorway. See if he can get out of this. Saf chased down. Dimov's there, though. There it is, of course, with the execution. And Saint falls as well as two of the squishier high utility heroes on Abraham's side being picked off, and that Urn's being ferried away very quickly. And a Walker turn in. This is an inflection point, or at least it might be, but Overkim did get picked off, and Abrahams are chasing this Urn across the map. They've also got the Walker on the left side.
Exactly. They were able to get a 2v1. So they get themselves a Walker, but I guess it didn't account for Buff and Joys to turn that fight around with Dimov. I mean, Hook went to the door, and Dimov eventually chased to catch up and getting the killing blow. But they get a Walker themselves, and they still have control of Urn. So really not working out too well for Abrahams, though. I think it was smart indecision. They just needed to back away and not get caught out, or maybe close that door a little bit earlier to secure that Urn. It's a good little bounce back here out of Buff and Joyers, keeping things still really close. Only a 4,000 soul difference between these two teams. I'm trying to think about when we get towards like the later stages of the game, who I'd really favor based off comp.
I see paradox.
And I still would have to say Buff and Joyers.
Okay. Well, here's Hoot once again. Not sure he found himself surrounded by a large number of enemies trying to buy. But Abraham's had that part of the map sort of knocked down, and they can sort of springboard off that elimination into another Walker look. Listic here with a turn in. Sam can't really interact with that, so we'll just take a couple shots, try and steal some of the souls away. Clean Urn turn in for Buff and Joys, but now they've got a hot footed across the map to try and stop this Walker from being taken down. This could be tricky business. ABL Gloom bombs in. Guardian ward offered. He might look to try and circle around or catch someone who's mid-rotate. Jamside's picked off, though. Dimov's definitely the player you want to have in this position. ABL doesn't want any of that smoke, but Dimov is hunting for more of these pickoffs, and he has spotted them out. There's Saint going down yet again. Jamside having fallen. Abrahams are down to 4. Don't have a lot to play for here.
There's a chance they can take this mid lane Walker too, or maybe even go for mid boss. Maybe that's the call. And you can see with Ava scouting things out, ABL notices they're heading straight for it now. The potential for a contest is going to be tough because you have Shroud Transformation up. The lasso! Oh
Blind.
my lord, the blind lasso!
Taft's in deep trouble. How do you get out of this one? He's got a bag on him as well. Okay, dude, through the door. Fair enough, but he can't make use of that to contest this rejuve. So I think Buff and Joy's got what they wanted by forcing that out of the door, man. Here's a Shadow Transformation Bullet Dance coming through. What a rallying charge as well. And a big stun coming off that captivating read. What a steal. Abraham's come in. The concussive combustion hits on multiple players, and they get 2 rejuve credits for their money. Dimov is down. The strongest player on Buff and Joy's has fallen by the wayside now, and Listic needs to make something happen. Tries to throw a cold front out, but Tats is going to chase him down. Another read will hold Saint in place, but it's a disaster for Buff and Joy's. Abraham's come in for the steal of the mid boss. They get 2 rejuves. They still have the buff in play. They wipe Buff and Joy's Joys off the map, and now they can push up for that mid walker.
My lord, what a turnaround for Abrahams after losing players in the beginning. It was looking almost like solid, almost guaranteed for buff enjoyers, even the lasso coming through, but not the perfect target to take as Saf just barely escapes through that door, buying time for his teammates to get here. Tass as well with the bullet dance, forcing out the rallying charge to allow the steal to come in from Jam side with the combustion. And now you can see Abrahams are on the death march, getting the middle walker down. Not quite the right hand side, but they want to make sure to keep this credit available for them. That was a huge turnaround, and I think that just shows like the mental fortitude here of Abrahams.
I mean, that was brilliantly done. There were so many big stuns in play. Captivating Re was lined up there for Sharik, but a big concussive combustion. Remember, Jamside went for that fairly early warp stone just to guarantee that you could connect with that ability until those credits taken away. So a very, very positive exchange there for Abrahams, and also a lot of souls now that can be spent. See those converted into more power for this Abraham side. Now you push out waves. Buff and Joy's trying to defend that right side walker. That's definitely the next look, but this is something that can be exploited by Abrahams now. There's a lot of neutral camps for them to eat up.
I think that's why you're seeing Buff and Joy's try to quickly take them. Not to mention Sinner's Hoot does steal that one away. We'll confirm it because it's technically on his side, so it's not really much of a steal if it's on your side of the map. I think very important now for Zergy to shove out this right-hand side to make sure that last walker cannot be taken. But honestly, I think if you're Abrahams here, you don't necessarily need to look for that one if you're looking for a fight, because the base guards would be much easier to take at this point. No extra resist being given over to the opponents you're trying to kill. And Hoot's looking for initial catch. Things they don't have everyone here, and Buff and Joy's are going for the fight down a man.
All right, once again, Hoot in a bit of trouble here. Guardian warded, rescue beamed even. Oh, okay, caught on the underside of the awning. Still doesn't seem to be too much of an issue. All right, we're going to be fighting for the rooftops for a moment here. There's all of our Buff enjoyers grouped up on this left side, trying to defend this lane, and this is just a free earn turn in for Abrahams. They don't actually have to fight. They can just snatch this one away. Could set up a door for it, something similar. They do want to probably push right side in. They'd like an earn turn into a walker take. But look at this, Buff and Joy's getting aggressive. They're looking for something here. They see an opportunity. They've seen Abraham split across the map, and they're going to go for it now. Tass, the first target, might have been caught out here. Lasso connecting. Now Hoot going to drag Saint into a compromising spot. Big damage though came from the doorman. Hoot might need a bit of help to complete this kill, but there's actually nobody here. Buff and Joy's a little bit of split up, and Hoot has to peel off to some degree. Now Abraham's trying to regroup themselves. Listic being shot in the back by Saf as he tries to chase him down, but up above you can see Dimov commanding that space. Overkim's down, and Buff and Joy's no longer have the element of surprise. They still feel like they need to commit though. Here it is, Shadow Transformation and a stay at the Baroness Hotel for Dimov. He'll extricate himself, but what will he find on the other side? Guardian Ward to top up here. Here we go. Dimov pops back out, still looking for a target. Does spot the doorman, but Saf skitters away back to safety, and Dimov's not confident enough to go for this.
That Baroness Hotel actually, I think, saved Dimov, funny enough, because you had the Shadow Transformation go off on together, looking to brawl, looking to take down the kill, but he had nothing to do. The Shadow Transformation was completely wasted, but if anything, Abrahams, they get the urn. They should be able to get the urn and turn it off for this, considering Shark and Obicam are still down, though you can see Zergy and Listic looking to contest. Even Dimov coming in from the side. He still has Killing Blow available. So it'd be huge favor if Buff and Joy's could actually contest this and prevent it from going in, but they need a Hail Mary play.
Carbine charge, good damage there on Saint. He's going to have to spend that redo buff to get back into the fight. This is Return of Shadows, who's definitely going to get the kill. Nothing Zergy could have done about it. Listic also low, leaping slash comes forward, but Hoot had a nice little parry to stop ABL in his tracks. He's still healthy though on this Calico. Hoot can't boast the same. Dimov also quite low now, eyes on Saint. He'll eventually be dragged down, but Buff and Joy's are losing out these exchanges. Abraham's only lose one player. It's a 3-for-1 exchange for the Sapphire side, make it 4. Obicam's down. This does not bode well. It's an earn turn in and a walker take. Abrahams are getting everything they could ask for and more, and they'll be knocking on the base in moments.
Man, I just smashed my 84-inch TV in rage. Buff and Joy's is embarrassing me in front of my entire family. My 2 children are in tears, scared of my rage as I pace around in this room, trembling. I can't take this anymore. But you know what? Neither can Abrahams, because they want to close this out, win themselves for the first time in 5 weeks. This would be, the 5th week. Finally taking the title back for themselves as they do take down the base Guardians, but look to back away. Not feeling confident enough without the rejuve anymore, but they do have a 25,000 soul lead, and they might be looking for a catch with the help of that door, maybe just an escape. Abraham's on the verge of taking this series after losing that first map in a very unflattering way, Mitch.
And regrettably, I'm going to hand over the mic to none other than ZP to jump in and take this one home, as I've got to get out of here. I'm glad we got a long game, but I couldn't close it out. So ZP, take it away, brother. Thanks for the time, guys. Enjoy.
Jason, as I come in here, my question is this going to be the time that Abrahams comes in and takes the throne, or does this get added to the annals of Buff Enjoyer comebacks? Because you look at the gap right now, Jason, it is still feasible for Buff Enjoyers to bring this game back.
I mean, the only throne I think Mitch is thinking about right now is the Iron Throne that he's going to hit in the gym. No, I'm just kidding. He's going to go get his kids because he has an appointment to make. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. It is possible. It is very possible, especially the longer this game goes on for D-Mob. When the killing blow gets fully maxed out, the reset potential is going to be very important for them to confirm these kills, because they can do damage, but they're struggling to finish off some of these kills. Though I will say, like, Buff Enjoyers seem to get caught here in some of these situations, though I do respect the hesitation of Abrahams to not continue to push the issue and back away. So I think they realize they're on the precipice of getting themselves $1,000 here in the title back once again. This has been a long grind for them, a long, frustrating grind to take this title.
I mean, it's a good time to be powering up in the eve of the Trolli tournament coming up this weekend. So if you had to pick a time to peak, if you're Abrahams, now's the time. But this one not quite over yet. Getting a little bit hot and heavy here on the right-hand side. Concussive concussion in and out from Jam side on the chase down. Looking for Obikim. Obikim, a little bit low, but now still trying to buy a little bit of time to survive. Not going to happen. Burned down by Jam side. Is Jamside going to get punished? The answer is no. A little bit more posturing. Down into the middle now, Jason, as we see Listic sliding down the stairs looking for a reposition.
Yeah, I think they realize, yeah, they might be missing 3 ultimates, but we're down a player. And Jamside, he's just not being focused. That flying strike, my lord, coming from 10 kilometers away. We're in EU, so I can say kilometers. And Hoot might be getting caught out here, as I think Abrahams are still unsure. Do we want to commit to this fight, even though we do have that man advantage? You can see ABL on the minimap chasing away Shark, and that should be a potential kill coming through because of how low Shark is going to be, but he's separated the support from the rest of his team.
Does look like Shark may have gotten enough separation to not go down here just yet. 12 seconds left until Kim is back into the fray. But now, elsewhere in the fight, this time around it's Listic getting chased on down. Chow transformation ticking on down. Listic down to 10% HP, but does Listic complete the great escape here? My word, he does. Both Listic and Shark barely avoiding doom, Jason. And that's huge, because if those two had gone down, this would be a free mid-boss and likely the game for Abrahams.
You can see the shot transformation call out too from Together. I don't think there's any world they want to commit to unless they do have almost a wipe without that shot transformation up, and Zergi immediately falls with Tass, and I mean, Tass on the haze has been really a frustrating thing for Buff Enjoyers to deal with because of all these sleep daggers coming through. And now D-Mob, Captivating Reed comes in, but so does the Hex, and he's going to fall to ABL. That was a person they desperately needed to keep alive here, ZP.
Yeah, and with those 2 picks, I mean, if you're Abrahams, you just say, okay, we are immediately sending mid-boss. And now, I mean, at this point, for Buff Enjoyers, given the game state, I don't know if you can give up 3 charges on the rejuve and actually win this game. Yeah. So you're going to make the mid-boss scream. Abrahams are going to go out. They're looking for a little bit of picks on the outside. They don't want to risk the chaos of the mid-boss fight. They'd rather take the 6-on-4. They get Sherrick in on the rotation. Combustion in here from Jamside, enough to finish off Hoot. And Abrahams off the mid-boss fake, able to go in, get key eliminations here, Jason. And this may truly be the beginning of the end.
Concussive combustion into a luggage cart into the wall. There was nothing Hoot could do. He was completely stunned for days. And even have 2 players back towards the mid-boss while they're pushing the Guardians at the base. They're looking to take everything away from Buff Enjoyers here. And they're really going to get every single Rejuve Crystal. And I mean, Buff Enjoyers, you have 2 players left. You can buy time for D-Mob. It might be the play, but Listic's going to fall to Together. It's on just 1,000 of HP. But they're going to have the Rejuve now, and they're going to have an earned turn in. I just don't see a world Abrahams loses this game in this position.
At this point, it would require a massive throw by Buff Enjoyers. But also, here's the other issue for Buff Enjoyers. If you're Abrahams, you have such a big lead, both in actual power and stats, and now having 3 Rejuve Crystals. Okay, they're not actually going to go down and push down the Patron. Maybe they thought they were a little bit too weak with Together being low. But there's going to come a point here, Jason, that they should be able to get first stage Patron and just force fight in on second stage Patron if Buff Enjoyers isn't able to get a pick-off. So, in a way, I feel like there's a very distinct timer on Hoot right now where Hoot needs to get a pick-off, but the problem is even just a single pick-off doesn't save them, Jason, with Rejuve in play.
Look at Tass, though. 30,000 souls on, like, this utility haze. He's got more souls than the highest person in the enemy team, and you're going to see the amount of damage he can possibly do here. The rescue beam perfectly placed to keep him alive. But you just see the presence and the respect Buff and Joyers are giving him. But yeah, I completely agree with what you said before as well about the mid boss. There had to have been a contestant of Buff and Joyers, and they tried it. It just did not work out. So I don't think they misplayed that in any sense of the word. But this soul discrepancy is just really becoming insurmountable for them to come back from.
I mean, especially again with 3/4 of Rejuve left up. Any pickoff here would be devastating against BE. Abrahams looking for one right now. Shout transmission coming out here from Together. Did get burned pretty low from some of the poke here from Buff and Joyers. But now down Broad Street we go. Charge out, and Sherrick immediately punished. Listic down too. Saf, tap on the doorman. And a hotel guest could be a very rude awakening on the end. The Shrines, meanwhile, getting taken down. Buff and Joyers down 2. And no Rejuve crystals yet popped, but Buff and Joyers in turn, they're the ones getting popped, Jason.
Yeah, that's it. Fire, Listic, or my kids are not getting dinner tonight. 3 players left alive for Buff and Joyers, and Abraham's looking for that first stage patron as it does transform. And you know what that smell is, ZP?
New champion. It's that new champion smell.
I was gonna say money. I was gonna say money. But you know what? New champion smell works as well. I just don't want to know what it smells like, to be honest. But Abraham's looking to close this one out here, and there's no chance.
Jason, it smells like DreamHack on day 3. But here we go. The patron is going on down. And Abrahams, once more, retake the throne here in Europe. It was a long time coming. But they take down Buff and Joyers, and that could be ill tidings for the weekend, as Abrahams are surely on the come up.
Just unfortunate for them that it does not change the seeding. I believe that's already been predetermined going into this week, and I think they'll still retain the number 2 seed in EU with Buff and Joyers number 1. So even if they did overtake Buff and Joyers seeding, they would still be split up in the groups, and there's no chance for them to meet until the playoffs on Sunday, and that is going to be a thing of beauty to watch. But we still have a lot more deadlock action before we can even get there. And credit to Abrahams. I did say in match 1, if you lose to this composition, I don't see how Abrahams can come back from it. And damn, they proved me wrong here, Jake.
I think you're exactly right. I mean, the mental fortitude made the difference. They had those adaptations. In game 2, it was the Mo Krill. Game 3, I felt like the Haze and the Magician, the Sinclair, actually kind of looked pretty sick, right? Like in these certain moments where you're able to find some of those copied Page ultimates and some of the setups from the Haze ended up paying dividends. And we've seen those 2 characters really be feast or famine. Like that's a bit of a risky couple picks to make up against a squad as good as the Buff and Joyers, but Abrahams, they made it work. And as you said, I think that's a great tidings going into the Trolli Invitational, that they're going to be able to potentially really contend with Buff and Joyers in that grand final where, let's be honest, both of these teams probably expect to meet.
Yeah, I think when you look at the seeding in EU for the Trolli tournament this weekend, there's not a soul in the world to dispute Buff and Joyers and Abrahams being the 1 and 2. And to me, I think this is a huge confidence booster for Abrahams. Not only to come in here, retake the Night Shift Championship, but look pretty darn good while doing it. Now, the only thing that some people may be looking at here is saying, hey, Buff and Joyers, were they being a little bit experimental here today? They were playing some very different looks overall meta-wise, but realistically speaking, I think a lot of the different looks were because they genuinely think this is one of the most powerful ways to approach the game here at the moment, and Abraham still had answers. So all in all, to me, I look at this, I give a lot of credit to Abrahams because they've had this grind on the mind for the last 5 weeks, and finally they got over the hump here today.
I really want to see what's going to happen if Mel Team is coming in as the 4th seed, right? So they would.
We did reorg it a little bit just because of experience in NA, where teams got very gamey about the 3rd and 4th seed because the perception was the 4th team was a lot stronger than the 3rd team. So we decided here the lesser of the 2 evils was the reorg Mel Team the 3rd, just so we didn't deal with the same sort of thing again.
So they'll be in the same group as Abrahams.
Yes,
I believe, and that's gonna be interesting considering the Abrahams roster has a conglomeration of like X1 win players and Paravision players, and then for them to meet up against their previous teammates of Mel Team, if that does happen, it's gonna be really cool to see what's gonna happen this weekend in the event. But yeah, Abrahams, I think this was going into this weekend a very important victory for them to kind of let them breathe a sigh of relief, saying like finally we beat the team who's been giving us constant problems the last 5 weeks of time. It's just about them doing it yet again when it matters coming into this $10,000 tournament.
Big game from ABL here on the stats, kind of a monster player damage number, just significant impact from the Calico, who, as we were talking about throughout the show, has had a real resurgence over the last few weeks. I think some of these characters, Calico, Doorman in particular, are very likely to be mainstays in that tournament this weekend, especially given that, European and North American Deadlock often take very different perspectives. Like the communities, the competitive scenes in both regions really have different reads on the game right now. And I mean, now there's the gun paradox gun holiday build to consider. You gotta keep that one in your hat.
One thing that I think that's worth noting here, just on ABL, and I actually think Abrahams in general, is that I think Abrahams is a team where it takes them a little while to find their identity in a particular meta, and they're more based around comfort picks than others. When Abrahams was doing really well, that was back when the meta understanding was one where they would actually get things like Kelvin Shiv with high regularity, and they'd play that combo to perfection. And then they ended up getting banned out, and it took them a while to find their identity again. But getting ABL on the Calico after she's been buffed a lot, making ABL a shutdown player, what Saf has been able to do on Doorman, and I think any game where you get Jamside on Infernus, which is still, I think, his most played hero of all time, comfort goes a long way for Abrahams. And when I look at this, I think the lesson from Buff Enjoyers is, as you go into the weekend, you got to find a draft formula that still secures you high power in the draft, but interrupts the comfort picks of Abrahams a little bit more than what they were able to do today.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I really want to take the whole draft in this series with a grain of salt. Maybe I'm leaning too much towards that, because obviously they did still try to play and they did still try to win. But I feel like what they drafted wasn't necessarily the comp they intend to go for when it's $5,000 on the line. But I still liked how they showed that they can win even with some like wild, crazy picks coming through. But I think you're also very right in what you're saying, ZP. I think if we look at some of the North American matches this last week, Sticky Golem up against the Unks, they specifically banned out Wanderer's Yamato, and they banded out Aiden's Vindicta. And they went for comfort picks more so than meta picks, and I think we have to see a little bit of a mix of the two.
All right, guys, it was a great series between two very strong teams, but in the end, we've got to crown an MVP. So let's take a look at who won the honors this time around. Of course, it had to be Saf. The Doorman play was immaculate, whether he was playing for this heavy carry potential, as you see in this, glass cannon build in the final game, or just having impact, securing urns through the doors, great team play across the board, and low death counts. I mean, I think you got to give Saf a lot of credit in this series. He was just always there when it counted.
Yeah, and I mean, part of it just comes down to the fact I think players have gotten a much better understanding of Doorman as time has gone on. Yes, some of the bug fixes to the doors certainly helped out a lot, but I think the big difference we've seen in Doorman play, which Saf was able to illustrate, to me it's two things. One, players are a lot cleaner at Doorman combos. Getting high damage off luggage cart connections is just way better now than it was a few weeks ago. And the second part is, as you see here from the highlights, being able to use Urn around mid-boss and the Urn is a lot more effective than people were using it in the past. The teams are really well versed now on the best ways to approach, the best ways to get in and harass the other team, and you just see much sounder tactical play out of the Doorman pick than we've seen in the past. So I think all that kind of coalesced into a moment where Saf just looked incredible.
I think it's also like a subtle balance of playing utility versus playing for damage. As you pointed out, like some of these doors to kind of have the understanding, okay, I need to set my team up for earn turn-ins, I need to set my team up for escapes, but also need to be looking for damage to kind of ride that line in a way that you can be successful against the best team in the world, or at least the best team in EU at the moment. I think that really shows that like Saf can think in both worlds and excel in both as well.
It's one of those things interesting about Doorman is off the rip with the patch coming in, right, with all our new heroes, I feel like Doorman took kind of the longest to really see significant play, and has now risen until it kind of is top of the meta right now, maybe tied with Victor for that super competitive pick with real value, but just took people a long time to figure out, look, it's a portal hero. It's going to take a hot second to really master it. So, not surprised that it did rise, but I am pretty impressed with the players, how quickly they picked it up and made it look really impressive. But of course, Saf's our MVP. We do, though, want to jump into a quick interview. We've got Parzival here to answer some questions about how Abraham's got the win this week.
All right, well, welcome in, Parzival. First and foremost, I just want to say thank you for everything you do for the EU scene. For those who don't know, Parzival has really been helpful behind the scenes and helping, organize where needed, has been invaluable in the back end of the Trolli tournament. So thank you for that. And guess first and foremost, Parzel, I just want to say, first, congratulations on the win, and second, is this a sign of what's to come this weekend?
I hope so. Yes, thank you. Yeah, it's pretty. We are pretty happy to win this tournament because we have 10K tournament soon. So yeah, it's that's good.
What's kind of been the most difficult thing for you guys losing to Buff Enjoyers like 4 or 5 weeks in a row, or any team losing to them consistently? How do you kind of get involved with the team and keep them focused on the true end goal and for them to not get so frustrated or upset?
I don't know. I think we are not super upset because of this tournament. We are just kind of upset because the only tournaments we have is it's your event, and it's kind of boring because we are just playing scrims whole week, and after we just play one best of one or just one best of 3, and if we lose, we just need to wait a week to revanche. Yeah, only this. If we will have some more tournaments, yeah, that's gonna be more. I don't know. I mean, we will not be upset like this if we will have some more tournaments.
Makes sense. With more chances to play, you got more chances to show what you can do. My question is just, what does that practice look like for you guys right now? Like, do you scrim every day, and how much time is the team putting into Deadlock right now?
No, we are not screaming every day. We are just, Thursday just a day off every time. As usually we're screaming in Friday, maybe in Sunday and Tuesday. 3 days in a week. Yeah, that's fine for us. It's kind of boring to play scrims every day just for one best of 3 tournament. Yeah, because yeah, it happened before when we just lose to Buff Enjoyers. Together was kind of upset because of this and told me we need to scream right now after your event. And in the middle of the night because we just need to revenge.
My question here that I think is on the minds of a lot of people, just a gameplay question, is why has Doorman risen in priority?
Doorman is pretty flexible. He has a strong lane, and he is kind of broken in gun. So yeah, and his spells is also good. His bell is bullshit, of course. In first game or in second, Saf told me what. The last time when he used his first spell, it was 8 minutes. So yeah, after lane, this spell is super useless. But yeah, Door is super good for urn contest, for urn delay, for urn delivery, and also you can find some pickoffs with this Door. And yeah, he has a stun, control. Yeah, that's a super good character. Yeah, and he is kind of flexible. You can flex him on support also.
Let me ask you one more question with what's coming up this weekend. We obviously know you, Buff Enjoyers, the cream of the crop, the best teams in EU. But can you give us some information about what other teams you expect to be doing really well this weekend that might come as a surprise?
I think Team Fearless Furious must won the qualifications, and also one win former team must be also good. But I don't have many information about. I have information about other teams, but it's kind of hard to understand what place they will go to on this next tournament. But my prediction, it will be in top 4, it will be Buff Enjoyers, Abrahams, one win former team, and Fearless Furious.
All right, you got your extra...
not in order, not in order.
sure. Your extra info for our channel points better, so I'm sure the chat will appreciate that. Thank you, Parzival, for your time in the interview, and congrats again on the victory.
Thank you.
And all right, you guys, I mean, what an incredible series overall. A big statement win for Abrahams, especially on the eve of the biggest tournament we've run yet in Deadlock here. Of course, I know everyone's going to be around to check that out this weekend, but that sets the tone for Abrahams, and it's a tone that they sorely needed considering the momentum that was against them these last few weeks.
Yeah. And as you heard him say as well, it was nice for them to take this right before the Trolli event coming up this weekend. The thing is, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, and you got to do it consistently. Now we might see a rise in Abrahams finally breaking that curse, man. A 5-week-long curse, if I'm not mistaken. Finally coming back. And last time they won was shift 6, and we're on shift 11. Fantastic to see, and it really gets me hyped for what's going to come this weekend.
Yeah, definitely a lot to watch. Nice to see these two teams, though, just duking it out on top. I feel like you would be shocked to see anybody else in that grand final, but hey, that's the exciting thing about the open tournament. We heard Parzival talking about some other teams that could present real problems for even these top 2, and maybe even be in that top 4 placement in those muddied spots. And then, hey, who knows, maybe some newcomers we could see on the weeklies here in Night Shift. But of course, all that takes place this weekend, so make sure you're here Saturday, Sunday. It's the EU Trolli Night Shift Invitational. But before that, we still got another half of the broadcast today. We are not done with the Deadlock on this channel, not by a long shot. It's the NA Challenger match up first. Melee Creeps taking on Kawaii Crew. And then in the finals, it's Sneaky Golem, who actually, I mean, they're still the champions of Night Shift, but they were defeated, right, in this last weekend by Melee Creeps. So that's going to be an interesting one if it's Melee Creeps going on to face them in that money match.
Yeah, needless to say, I think Sneaky Golem, while the last weekend was a difficult pill to swallow, I definitely think they're not a team that's going to sit there and be licking their wounds for too long. They want their revenge, or in this case, what better revenge than maintaining the crown and just letting Melee Creeps know, hey, you got that one from us. It was a big one, but we're going to keep winning over here on Night Shift proper.
Yeah, still certainly a lot to play for, and all of that and more, of course, the rest of North America is going to be on the other side of a short break. So as we get everything ready, don't go anywhere, or if you do, grab your trolleys, grab some drinks, some snacks, get prepped. We're in for another beautiful set of Deadlock action right after this break.